We closer than family.
Yeah, bro.
Real
Absolutely.
talk.
Real
talk.
A long time.
Yeah, and this gentleman fits in that category as well.
Oh, yeah, man. I've known the gentleman that we're about to talk about. Man, I guess I'd be giving away ages at that point. We've known each other a long time. I don't.
Yeah, let's just keep it there.
Yeah, because we entertainment. We got to keep our entertainment ages.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, they say Beyonce 30. So, okay, here we go.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of our brothers from another mother. He has been in the music industry for a very long time. He's worked for numerous record labels. He's worked with numerous artists, and I've got to ask about some of this stuff. We got to put him down. Dave Kuti Mack, where you at, Playboy?
Yo, I'm here. Listen, we go far back enough where I remember y'all had Hot Top.
Yes. He about to pull out some of those high top pictures too, Kuti Mack. He about to pull them up. Hey, Kuti Mack, I put on a t-shirt tonight because I knew you would be rocking a t-shirt. So I had to put a t-shirt on, man.
Yeah. You know how we do.
Yeah, man.
One of my favorite artists, Morris Day and the Time. We're gonna talk about that too.
Oh yeah, we can talk about that too. Like we can talk about
what
that.
time is it? Man.
Me and Lorenzo got some history.
The walk. You remember that? You
remember
that?
We're gonna start right now. What history? That history?
Oh, that's my condition.
Yeah, that's history. But we were talking about something else. But we will definitely get into that.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, once again, we got my man Kuti up in the place. Look, if you guys are checking us out on Facebook, if you're checking us out on YouTube as well as IG and Twitter, make sure drop a comment. We'd love for you to be a part of the show. Real easy, real quick, and we're gonna have some fun. Kuti Mack, so how'd you get into business, my brother?
How'd I get in? So here's the thing: I've loved music my entire life.
Right.
Music has been my homie since day one. My earliest recollections are music. I thought I was going to get into music as an artist, as a lot of executives. A lot of executives get in thinking that they're going to be an artist, and then something makes it not happen. I got kind of close coming out of high school. Got a little developmental deal, but I'm an immigrant, and immigrant parents don't play that whole music business stuff. They're like, yo, we ain't come all the way over here for you to be running around with Puffies and Snoopies. You're gonna go to college. So I ended up going to college, majored in communications, and then when I got out, I got an internship before I graduated. My junior year, I'm backing up. My sophomore year, my best friend got an internship with Polygram Distribution. I had no idea there was a distribution company sitting right across from my high school. And so I would hang out with him because we were besties. And man, I was meeting Black Sheep, Vanessa Williams. Night when he first came out. Right. I met Ed Extine, Donnie Simpson. I was just meeting people. Some of the reps that you all know, Wanda Hayes, Loretta Farmer. I met them all back then, right? And so I'm like, yo, this is like the real music business. And I just took for granted, well, if my boy got an internship, I could get an internship. So I BS'd and waited till like right when summer was coming around and started calling everybody. And I hadn't even networked. I was just busy meeting people and running around with Black Sheep and just hanging out that I had never really connected with anybody. So that was my first lesson. It was like, when you meet people in the industry that you want to be in, you got to connect with them, Right. And so, I didn't. So I was just coming in cold. So by the time I got a hold of somebody that I kind of knew, they were like, dude, internships already been given out. So I ended up interning my junior year with the TV station. And what I thought I was going to do, I said, okay, this is how I'm going to work it. I'm in college already. I'm going to finish college because I understand why that's important to me and to my parents. But then what I'm going to do is use my communications degree to get a television gig. And I was on what was back then WDCA Channel 20, and Channel 20 had gotten bought out by Paramount right when I got there. Paramount owned Viacom. Viacom owned MTV. So I was like, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my own show on this during this internship. I created a TV show, literally created a TV show and hosted it, just so I could get a reel. And then I was going to use that reel to get on MTV. What I figured I'd do is I get on MTV, and then when Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis come through, you give me my demo. When I give them my demo, then I'm going to get my record deal with my boy, and then we're going to be straight. And that's the way I thought it was going to work. It did not work that way. And so but I got some great experience. And,
right.
and what happened was, the truth is how I got into business was, so I graduate from, I've been promised a gig with ESPN. And coming out of college, they weren't going to pay me nothing, but I was going to cover college sports and I was going to be on TV. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do that. Last minute, that job just bottoms out, and it just disappears.
Right.
And this is pre-internet, so there's no paper trail. It was just conversations, and they're just like, yo, we don't know what you're talking about. So I was trying to hit them up for some relocation, and they're just like, dude, we don't know what you're talking about.
Who are you?
Yeah, it's like, Kuti who? So I'm like, all right. So then here I am. I'm graduated, good degree. All my boys got jobs. Right. And I'm the one of all of us. I'm the one just sitting around like on my twin bed in my dad's crib. And I was like, man, what am I going to do? So started working some odd jobs and trying to figure it out. And the girl I was dating back then, I think both of y'all know her actually. Her name was Casey. And she was interning at a radio station in Norfolk. She was interning at WOW. And so that's how she knew. And so that's how I met.
She interned with me.
Yeah, she interned with Lorenzo and KJ, God bless the dead. And so I had nothing to do. She was still in school. I graduated. So I was coming down to visit her one weekend. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to hang out with my girl for the weekend. I drive down, and when I get there, Steve Washington, he was the Arista rep.
Grip.
Yes, handshake that just crush you, right?
That's right. That's right.
So she's holding Steve Washington, will not let that dude leave until I get there. I got stuck in traffic, so I was like an hour and a half late. So Steve's talking to KJ. Who's the program director for anybody listening? He was the program director at WOWY, and she's just my man. My man knows everything. She's just running down like how I just know everything about music. So when I walk in the door, I'm a little frustrated because I've been in traffic all day. It's hot. The AC was broken at WOWY. I walk in. I would never forget. I was sweaty. I was just hot and just aggravated. I'm just trying to pick up my girl and get out of here. And as soon as I come in, Steve's just gregarious. Hey, what's up, man? And I'm just kind of like, I don't know you, dude. Like, and I don't know who he was or what he was. He's like, yo, I heard a lot about you, man. Give me his handshake. I'm just like, and this dude's just like crushing every bone in my metacarpal. I'm just like, something like, my man, I don't know you. Like, what? Like, I'm ready to hit him, right? I'm just like, yo, you got a card or something? Like, get off me. You know what I'm saying? So he gives me a card. It says Arista Records. And it has a Maryland address. I'm like, Arista's in Maryland? I was like, get out of here, man. I was like, all right, cool, whatever, dude. But KJ comes out cool. Oh, you're Kuti. Yeah, I heard a lot about you too. He has he grabs an application application to work at the station. I'm like, I'm not gonna come all the way down here and work. But I was like, all right, cool. I just took the application, filled it out just for argument's sake, gave it to him, and just like, okay, let's go. I get back home, I look at the card, I'm like, you know what? Let me call this dude. Because I was like, there's no way. And I call, he answers, he's like, yeah, come through. I'm having lunch, just come through, see me. So I come through and I walk in the branch. He's in the BMG branch. So every label distributed by BMG was there. So you had Arista Records, Zoo Records, RCA Records, a couple other labels. And so when I go in there, I see the Bodyguard plaque, 10 million records. I see Dave Matthews Band. I'm like, this is really the music business. So I was like, okay. So I come in, but I still got a chip on my shoulder because I'm kind of mad at the world. I feel like I deserve a job and I'm not working. Not even thinking I'm going to get in the music business at this point. So I'm just talking to him. So as I'm just sitting there, promo guys always on the phone, so calls are coming in, interrupting our discussion. And, he's just talking. I hear him say something. Yeah, I need more spins on this record. Click. Boom, boom. Yeah, boom, boom. Look, I'm okay. I know Tony Braxton's coming next week. Boom. And I'm like, Tony Braxton. I'm like, that's the girl because she's from Maryland. I was like, that's the Braxton sisters. Like, yeah, they live up on 301. And so I'm just running it down. Like, I know like just little minutia about like Tony Braxton and I think Tony Terry had a record out. And I was like, yeah, Tony Terry from the crib too. This, that, and the third. And I was like, he showed me something. I was like, oh yeah, Tommy Mottola just got hired to run Columbia Records, man. He used to be a Hall & Oates manager, and Steve just he's mind blown because I'm telling him stuff that he don't even know, right? He's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, look at the credits. I'm pulling the credits. I'm seeing CDs. I'm like, yo, give me that CD. I'll show him. Say, yeah, that's the same Tommy Mottola. He's gonna be. So he's like, man, look, my assistant, my intern just left. He got a job with Reprise Records. He's going to Carolina. I can give you a job here, but I can't pay you anything. So in my head, I'm like, well, that's dumb. Like, that's not a job. I'm an immigrant. The job is so you get a check. But then while he's talking, he's like, man, but you're really cool, man. You know, he just starts grabbing CDs. You know, Arista had a gang of records. So he just gave me, you know, all these LaFace records, bang. You know, Rowdy records, bang. So he gives me like a stack of like 15 CDs. Now I'm a cat who bought a ton of music. If I could pan the camera over there, you'd see like thousands of CDs organized just right there. CDs and vinyl right there.
You organized it?
or alphabetically. And so when this dude gave me 15 CDs, I'm like, dude, that's like, you know, it's like almost like 250 right here.
Oh yeah.
And he goes, oh man, matter of fact, Greeny was working for RCA. Greeny, bring whatever your priorities are. Boom, you know, so whoever's at job, man, come over, bring this to that. He just starts calling all these labels, and everybody just comes in with about 5, 6, 7 CDs. So now I'm leaving with like 40 CDs. And I'm like, this is $500. Like, I would have spent this $500.
Right.
And if I don't like it, I know where I can sell these joints and get, you know. So I'm just saying, like, this is money right here. And he's like, yeah, you can have it. He said, man, any CD you want. He said, matter of fact, even if it's not in BMG, I can call somebody over at WIA. I can call somebody at Sony. I can get you any music you want. How's that? I was like, I'm in. I'm in. And that was me getting into the business. So I get into the business as his assistant. And the advantage I had, I can say this now because I think statute of limitations are clear, but you know, I always looked a little younger than I was. So I looked just as young, if not younger, than the interns because I actually was their age. I had just graduated college. They were still in college, right? So technically I wasn't supposed to be an intern because I had already graduated. I just called somebody at UVA that I knew, and they wrote a letter saying that I was still enrolled. And so that's how we got through that. But because I wasn't a student, I had nothing but time. So because those cats had to go to class. So what I said, look, Steve, if I do everything you asked me to do and have it executed soup to nuts, is it okay if I float around the office and kind of help everybody else out? Because I'm trying to get a job, man. And he said, sure. And that was our deal. That was our handshake agreement. Okay. and so I'm like, all right. So I just started helping. So like when Juliet Jones, who's a big time, you know, executive now, right. I remember when she first came to work for Jive. Like I was there when she came in. Greeny was there. Barry Terry was over at Warner Brothers across the street. God bless the dead. You know, there's a lot of just legendary executives that I got the chance to just be at their footstool. And because I had all day, as long as I could get some change to put some gas in my car, change the oil every now and then, and I was eating whatever, you know, whenever they had, you know, whenever the artist was in town, I'd go to dinner with them.
You on per diem too?
Nope, take something to go and just ration that out. And you know, I probably lost about 10, 15 pounds that summer. But I told everybody, I said, look, I will do whatever you ask me to do. I will write your reports for you. And I did. I wrote the reports for some of these reps. I won't name them, but I wrote their reports. But I said, I'm not going to say a thing. All I need you to do is when a job comes up, I need to be the first name you bring up. Just mention me. And mind you, back then, the young crew of execs was probably about 27. Yeah. You know, about 27, 28. I was 21, 22. Right. So it was like, so I came in like aggressive, like, hey man, because they were like, well, why don't you start in the mail room and then you can go to the front desk and you can do it, you know, because cats like me, so they wanted to protect me too. They was like, man, the game is kind of savage and I don't want you to, you know, get caught up. And I was like, nah, B, I see what this is. I see what's going on, and I've been on the road with all y'all. I can do what you do respectfully. So, okay. So fast forward.
Hold on, because somebody just chimed in.
Okay.
The guy that you replaced. Vito said,
"Yo, Vito,
yes.
Was Vito the internship."
So you know I'm not capping. You know I'm not capping. What up, Vito?
What up, Vito?
Nothing but love for Vito. Because I'm gonna tell you, he dropped a jewel on me too. On his way out the door, my man Vito says to me, he says, look, man, there's still hosts to this day. He says the industry comes down to one word, man. And mind you, he didn't know me from a can of paint. He didn't have to tell me this. He says it comes down to juice, bro. Whatever juice you have, flex that juice, and that's what's going to get you further. That's a gem he dropped on me that I never forgot. Thank you, Vito. Thank you.
And that was around the time the movie Juice was out too.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got the juice.
He said it's juice, man. He said it's juice. And so my juice was I knew the back and the backbones of the game. I knew like who produced what, who wrote what, every label. I knew all that stuff. So, and I came out of college, so I had academic arrogance about me too, you know, because just to keep it real, a lot of execs back then weren't college graduates. So I'm writing these reports, and the reports are looking golden and organized because I had organizations. I just wrote 2 or 3 theses. So when they were telling me what I couldn't do, I'm like, I know what I can do that none of y'all did. I wrote 2 theses just last year. Mm-hmm. So
Let's give your university some props. Go Who's
UVA. Let's do it, man. UVA. I was like, look, man. So I'm like, look, man, I got this. Just show me the way to go. And the beauty of it was people like Steve, people like Vito were just like, yo, if you need anything, if there's something you don't know, call me. So move like you know, and whatever you don't know, we'll fill in the blanks for you.
Wow.
And that meant the world. And I still do that for people to this day. I do that for executives to this day. They're like, yo, Kuti, man, what is that? And I'll just give it to them and let them go, because that was what bolstered me forward. So my academic arrogance, I won't call it hubris, my academic arrogance, my actual
you went to UVA, you can say arrogance.
All right, there it is.
Yeah.
And my actual acumen, like what I did know. I mean, I was a creative. I had written songs before. I produced songs. You know, I was a musician. You see, I got my Rhodes, my little Stevie Wonder Rhodes right behind me. You know, like, you know, these are things that's who I've always been. So yeah, man. So I just thought, so what happens is, I asked one day, I said, you know, I'm interning for this label called Arista. Who's the boss at Arista? And back then they had a director. And somebody said, oh, it's Clive Davis. So I just went to the directory and I found Clive Davis's name.
Who's Clive?
So I said, okay, Clive Davis. All right, bet. So I typed up this report of what I would do. Like if I had a new hip hop artist, what would I do to market that artist? You know, if we took him on a promo tour. And I typed up the report on my own, put it on Steve's Arista letterhead.
Right.
And back then, faxing was the fastest way of communication. And I faxed it to Clive. Now, I'm faxing the CEO of the label. I don't know him from a can of paint.
Right.
I'm sitting there, I'm putting the last sheet in, the head of the branch, this dude named Steve, God bless the dead too. He comes walking by and he's just like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm faxing Clive Davis this report. He was just like, it was closing time, so he was ready to go. He was just like, and I used to spend like after hours there. So he was like, my office tomorrow. I was like, all right. I was like, what'd I do?
You didn't realize who Clive Davis was.
I had no clue, man. Here's the wild part about Clive, though, man. So Airborne Express comes in the next. So I get to the office early because I'm like, you know what? Let me be here. I'm trying to be late. Let me see what Steve wants. I was there a few minutes before Steve got there. There was a Airborne Express addressed to Steve, and he calls me into his office. And he says she's holding the Airborne Express, and it's from Arista Records. And he's just like, this is from Clive Davis's office. And he said, I'm pretty sure what this is about. So he opens it up. Now, mind you, I had a lot of goodwill in that building. The branch, you know, this dude named Ronnie, there was the urban PDC, God bless him, man. He took me under his wing. There was just a lot of people there that just really had love for me. And they really wanted to see me do well. They really wanted to see me get in the industry.
Right.
But, you know, I took that leap of, you know, that aggressive leap. And Cass was like,
you went all the way to the top.
And they were just like, dude, we don't know if we can protect you, you know? So he pulls out the letter. It's on Arista letterhead. Clive always writes in this specifically blue ink.
Right.
It was a handwritten note. It was actually the report that I sent, the fax, with a handwritten note on top of it in blue. So Clive had seen it. And I was just like, yo, I just blew this whole thing. I just tricked it off. And so he starts reading it to me, and he's just like, all right, let's just see what he says. He says, boom. So, you know, got this report from the Mid-Atlantic branch, you know, some guy named Kuti Mack sent it here, and I love it. I'm going to put you down with the next label venture that we have, you know, have him by his desk at XYZ such and such a clock at such and such a date. And he looked at me and was just like, he just looked at me like, because he thought he was about to fire me.
Right.
And he gave it to me. I still got that letter to this day. That venture was Bad Boy.
Wow. Bad Boy.
I was
Closed mouths don't get fed, dog.
And I was in.
Ooh-wee.
Ambition, you don't want to be blind about it, you know, but at the same time, sometimes, you know.
But you had the confidence in your ability.
Yeah.
And you knew the ability that others were lacking as well.
Right.
So you're like, I know that I can present a report better than these people here that were non-college graduates, and you just wrote a thesis. You know, you were going to present it in such a way that was going to knock his socks off. And you lived the culture. And you understood the culture.
There it is.
You know, and at that time, me, you, and Eric, we slept and hate the culture. You know, we were doing all we could to make sure hip hop was getting played on the radio when others were like, I don't know, we should do this. Oh, we don't know. Exactly. You know, so
after midnight.
Exactly. Like, no, we need to play this at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. No, it's safe for middays. We could play it like that. I don't know. You know, because it was just being ultra conservative, being afraid of and I think it sounds funny to some people to listen to us say that, they were afraid to play hip hop. We talk about in the 90s.
Bro, think about this. Hip hop just started getting played on urban adult contemporary radio about 10, 12 years ago. Right. And what I try to remind people of is if you were in the music that you were in college with partying to, is the music you're gonna carry with you. So if you were in college in '86, you were in college when Run DMC and Houdini was popping.
Right.
Actually, '84.
Yeah.
If you're in college when Houdini's popping and you're afraid of hip hop just 10, 15 years later, that was something I used to argue with PDs all the time. Like, y'all need to start playing at least, Heavy D and all that stuff should be playing on the adults. It plays now, but it was not playing on adult radio well into the 90s.
Right. I've always go ahead, E.
I mean, really, they wouldn't play it until the 2000s.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
I was trying to protect my radio brethren and sisters.
Hey, we still in radio, so
exactly.
Yeah, I was going to pinpoint, and because we can talk about the millennium, 2000, and I said to a PD recently, I said those people that were partying with me in Washington D.C. that were 21 years old in 2000. Are 44 now.
They got kids that graduated college already.
And you're not going to play.
You were afraid.
And that was the era. That was the Diddy era. Yeah. That was the DMX era.
Yeah.
Jay-Z. That was the Ja Rule, Jay-Z era. Yeah. Those people that you say are your target are 44 years old now. And you're not going to play some of these artists?
That's what I'm saying. I understand it. God bless, the Isley Brothers, The Time. God bless all them cats. But I mean, think about it. You reverse engineer it. If we were in the 90s and we were still playing records from the 40s and the 50s, you'd be like, what are you doing?
Right. Shout out to Greg Diggs. It says much respect. What's up, Kuti?
That's my man right there. I love Greg Diggs.
I just generally my Facebook feed would flow up. But somehow they got a new, how they come in and they get this new version. So we got to get that. We got the only thing that's popping up right now is the folks on YouTube, but I'm watching my Facebook feed over here at the same time. So shout out to my Facebook crew. Go ahead, keep the chats in. I'm turning my head to read what you guys got going on. So, but
Kuti, since Greg just chimed in, I know you got a BET story.
You got it.
Man, BET story. So shout out to my man Eric Watson. He was over there at Rap City.
Yes.
Man.
Oh, they got a documentary about to drop.
Eric just told me about it yesterday.
I was with Tigger yesterday, and he showed me the trailer.
Tell Tigger I said what's up, man.
I will.
And so what I remember with Rap City, I was working at Loud Records. I was fortunate, man. I got a chance to work with some of the biggest labels as well as some of the best boutique and independent labels, and especially at their peak. So at the time, MTV had something kind of like a little beach party, MTV spring break weekend thing, and BET didn't have one at the time, and we put it together. It was a bunch of us at Loud, along with the folks at Rap City, and we ended up putting together their first beach weekend. I forgot what it was called, BT Bling, something Bling, right? But
BT Spring Bling.
Spring Bling.
Yeah, that's
basically it. All of our.
I was gonna say, Greg, chime in.
No. I worked there. I remember. I was there.
The inaugural one was us. So it was Mobb Deep. It was Big Pun. We had Luke Skywalker at the time, and we were in Miami, so you know how that went.
Right.
Exhibit. I think we had taken over Relativity at the time, so we had 3-6 Mafia, Project Pat, Gangsta, all of it. I mean, and we just descended. I think either Inspector Deck or one or two of the Wu-Tang cast, Inspector Deck and Ray. And we just came down and just did a whole weekend concert. And that was nuts in the best way, in the craziest ways. Bone Thugs-n-Harmony was on Relativity at the time. So we had Bone. I mean, and managing that was it was intense, but it was so fun. It was so fun. But BET was amazing. I loved when BET was in DC. At the time, DC was really a hub. It was a breeding ground for both executives, actually not even both, executives, radio people, and artists. Because what we had to be in DC at the time was we had BET, which is the Black music video channel,
right?
Period. Then, and they were getting really innovative with this show called The Soundstage. They had live performers and all kinds of stuff. They had Planet Groove, you know, on top of the Video Souls and Video Vibes and Rap Cities. And then we had performance venues of every size. So we had like this little hole in the wall called the Bayou in Georgetown. We had the Black Cat. You know, we had we had the clubs. So we had Republic Garden, Dream. You know, that whole movement. DC
Mark Barnes
exactly. And then we had radio. So there were like three mainstream, 3 adults, plus we got the Baltimore feed too. So it was like 7, 8 radio stations that were coming through there. So, and then you had retail. Retail is not a thing anymore, but you had retail. So when you could have retail and radio, I could break a record here in DC and Virginia. Virginia was always like Virginia was kind of like the proving ground. And then you could take that story to DC and Maryland and take that story. Philly would get kind of funny. You know, love the Philly, but it would get kind of funny. You always have to prove yourself in Philly. They adopted more of the Northeast, you know, mentality than the Mid-Atlantic mentality. Pittsburgh, and you could get that going. Artists like Maxwell, Jill Scott, Erykah Badu, I remember vividly. D'Angelo, these cats broke out of DC. You know, no matter where they were from, they broke out of DC, because DC you could play an album cut back in the day still, you know, and HUR would throw an album cut on. Mix Show could play something that wasn't on an album. If you had a radio guy or a record guy with ears, or both, you know, you could make a lot of noise and sell a lot of records and track it all, and then take that story and spread. That's how I broke Big Pun that way.
Yeah. So what type of effect did BET moving out of DC to New York have on that region? Because you're like the second or third person that has mentioned that recently.
It was sad, man. It was sad because New York, you know, God bless New York, but New York is New York. And so when they got to New York, I understood the move in terms of, you know, visibility and presence, especially when they had merged with Viacom and, you know, they were part of that MTV family.
Right.
But it made it feel less organic. It made it feel a little bit more bureaucratic in terms of the way things were moving and what was breaking and how it was breaking. Coming to DC, like I said, it was one-stop shopping. You had everything. But when you took BT out, that was a huge void. Now, it did allow for some other movements to start, like DTLR and some other things, you know, to kind of, you know, get in the internet space and start making things happen. But at the same time, it was just a lot different because you could just make events, huge events, because you could just take it from one. You could do an in-store, you know, go from radio station to in-store to BET to club to stage to club after party, all in one swoop. And I mean, it made it where you had to come through DC. And then when you took BET out, what happened was it made the regionals that were here a little less potent, because you didn't have that direct connection, unless you were fortunate enough like me to just demand that New York be part of your market. But if you didn't do that, then New York just was inundated with everything. So then what happened was a lot of the BET and MTV conversations started going just straight to the top, straight to the VPs and people like that, as opposed to me being the foot soldier, making the relationships with people like Greg, and then being able to just work it myself and taking that load off of the nationals, you know?
Right. I remember hosting a show with Greg Diggs. It was the DC Clubs. I can't remember exact title, but it was DC Clubs Meet Radio or something of that sort. And we talked about the different eras and what was really popping in DC. And of course, you know, Greg's a little older, so he remembers the 80s. And I just remember, you know, that 95 to, I say, about 2004 era of parties and entertainment in the DMV. Nothing else can rival what was going on in that part of the country during that, you might say those 10 years.
Man, that Love/Dream, the club, man, 4 or 5 stories plus a penthouse that, you know.
NBA Weekend 2000.
NBA Weekend 2000 in DC. I had no less than 9 separate artists that I was running around with. Including Puff. So Puff the whole thing by himself. I had Depp, who was just a wild card. Same thing with Black Rob. I had Faith. I had 112. I had Next. I had Blue Cantrell. I had
Blue. Hey man, look, I still rock Blue Cantrell.
Oh my God.
No, she still gets played. We play on. She still gets played. It's still tests well.
Oh my goodness, man! I mean, just some of the escapades that I had just running around amongst those people were epic stories.
Hold that thought. You're listening to Breeze Conversations with the DJ, where we get a chance to do this each and every Thursday night, because a big part of our show are the people that actually chime in. Thank you guys for allowing us to be on your platform. We're talking about the Miami Sports Network. Good looking out. Those guys are always in the place. Matter of fact, my man said, "What's good, fellas?"
Hey. What's good?
My man, we got my man Big Nick. He said music is his passion.
That's what I'm talking about. I think that we can both co-sign for that.
Yeah.
All three of us.
All three of us. It's still our passion. It's still our passion. So we're back at NBA weekend.
Yeah, so NBA weekend. Let's see. That was nuts. Do you remember Lorenzo when Gilbert Arenas had his birthday party?
Yes.
We talked about that last week.
Yes.
Right. I won't waste time on it, but
no.
Do I have to say it? Because I say it. That was the greatest party I have ever been to.
Was it a
hands down?
I've been to Puff's parties, and the Puff's parties are epic, but this was epic in a way that you can't even. I mean, that party was bananas. The invites were like the black card.
The black card. I was actually in Miami, and they sent it to me, and I flew up for that party.
That's what I'm saying.
Was it 2004? 2004? Yeah, 2004.
And that's the difference. When you ask about the difference, like when BET left, it's like DC was a destination. It was like a mandatory destination. And then
Jordan was there those years too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Michael Jordan was there.
Jordan, yeah.
Yep.
So you see what I'm saying? So like, but erroneously, national offices kind of started skipping over DC once BET wasn't there. Like, we just flow through it, or just give me like 2 days to get through DC and Baltimore or something like that. And people didn't really get a true lay of the land, but BET was an anchor. So that was a very important thing and a big loss when we lost those people. Plus, I just miss my friends.
Yeah.
So, Kuti Mack.
Yes.
We're gonna have a little fun right now, man.
Let's do it.
Take you back a little bit. First and foremost, you said you ran with Diddy.
Yes, sir. There it is. So had the little curly, had the little curlies, you know. See, like that was the new technology when you had like the earpiece that connected to your phone.
Oh yeah.
The Bluetooth wasn't out yet, so that's I was always ready. You know.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mel Smith in that picture as well.
My man Mel, I got to get him on the show. Is he still down in Texas, Houston?
Yeah, he's still doing his thing. I want to say if he's not rocking with Khaled, he might still be down with Young Money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Veteran,
Mel.
We got to get you on the show, my brother.
Yes, sir.
And old Fox right there.
Yeah, Olivia Fox, Russ Parr. I don't live too far from Russ now, so I guess I'm doing something right.
Yeah, yep.
You must be doing something right.
But yeah, that was a great era with Puff, man. I was just thinking the other day, like, what are some of my favorite years in music? As a kid, 1983 stands out to me really, really strong. But that era, just around 01, 02, like when Puff came with the Bad Boy for Life, we had the Shine record, because a lot of people had us left for dead when it came to Bad Boy, but man, Faith came strong. When 12 came strong, we broke Carl Thomas. Puff came to Bad Boy for Life, G Dep, Black Rob with Whoa. I mean, these are some heavy records, and that's something that I always trip out about, because to still be in the club or be at an event or be at a basketball game or hear a mix show and to hear records that still move people when they come on
right now.
These records are some 30 years old, and to have like a personal story, if not like I remember when I got Lorenzo to play that record. I remember when I got Aaron and Eric to play that record, like having those direct contacts with that record, that's nothing but a blessing, because my daughter, she has a very wide palette when it comes to music. She's young, but she listens to a lot of what I listen to, plus she listens to what she listens to. Right. And she just see something like she heard "Whoa," she's like, okay, I want that. And then she'll look and she'll be like, isn't that the guy? Like she might show her the video, she'll be like, isn't that him on the wall? And I'm like, yep. And it happens all the time. Like she hear a Q-Tip record, she's like, isn't that him? Yeah, Outkast, isn't that it? So those kind of things to be.
Eddie was a superstar,
right? And she just and she'll see this picture and she'll be like, who's that uncle in there that looked like you? She's never seen me with a fro before, so she's like, right. Who's that uncle with the mustache? Who's that? And I was like, that's me, man.
All right, so you partied with one of the biggest moguls in the music industry. Give us a bad boy story.
Here's my favorite bad boy story, and if anybody's heard it before, act like you haven't. So okay. I'm working for Puff. Like I said, he's got a record out, so now he's an artist. But don't get it twisted. He's still CEO of Bad Boy, and he was one of my first bosses. So there was this kind of thing where people like he and Mel felt like they could kind of pull me a little bit more because we had that familiarity from my inception. So I was still baby bro, right?
Right.
So Puff has a show, it's Powerhouse in Philly, and so this is when two waves were popping. I had a car phone, which was revolutionary back then in my 92 Act Legend coupe, which I still have. All right.
Really?
Yes, sir. I still got that baby. Still got that baby, man. So anyway, so I'm driving to Philly from DC to meet them, and I reach out to Puff like, hey, I don't see. I went to the airport. He wasn't there. So I was like, yo, Puff, you're not at the airport. Like, where you at? He's like, oh, I'm still in this meeting. I gotta leave. I was like, you gotta leave. I was like, bro, we gotta do sound check. And they're being very strict. They're like, we don't care who you are. You know how it gets on radio. We don't care who you are. You need to be on time for sound check. Mind you, this was a promo show.
Oh, this is a promo show?
Yeah, but it was a big, it was Powerhouse. It was like the big joint.
Oh, you're talking about Philly?
In Philly, yes.
Oh, so you talking about, okay.
Yes, you already know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that alone.
And all love, but no joke. You're not playing. So they're like, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you Puff, whatever. They're telling this to me, of course. Don't be late for sound check. So I'm like, okay, I'm driving. I'm like, well, Puff, if you're not at the airport, I got to get to the venue. I'm like, and so they call him, where is he? Where is he? And they're in one, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, they're paging me, texting me, two-waying me.
We're gonna drop all his records.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna drop all his records, everything on Bad Boys. Just so I'm like, so I call yo Puff, what are you doing? He's like, yo, I just finished this meeting, baby. He's like, look, he said, don't sweat it, baby. I can get there in time. I said, how? He said, just give me a chopper. I said, get you a what? I said, I'm on 95. Get you a what? He said, just give me a chopper, baby. And I was like, how am I supposed to get a chopper? You know how we roll, Bad Boy, baby, click. I'm in the car.
Hilarious.
I'm in the car getting hit by everybody. Where is he? He's still in New York at the office, talking about he's going to be ready for the show, just getting him a chopper. I'm like, get him a chopper. Now, before I go any further, Eric or Lorenzo, have either of you booked a chopper before?
Never
booked a chopper.
Right.
And I'll remind everybody, this is not pre-internet, but it's like just smartphone where you just pull anything up.
Right.
I'm sitting there trying to figure this out in my head. How do I get a chopper? So I say, all right, I'm driving. I'm like, this might be my last day.
We had a couple of those.
Right. So I just called Philadelphia International Airport. I just called Delta. Hey, right. I need a chopper. Just like, click. United, I need a chopper. Click. Finally, somebody just stopped and said, what are you saying? I said, I need like a helicopter. I need to charter a helicopter. They're like, well, I think there is a helipad around here. I said, that sounds good. So they sent me to the helipad. I mean, thank God. So they sent me to the helipad. The helipad's like, yeah, we could get something, but we don't have any. You got to like schedule it. You got to book it. So they gave me a number for a helicopter company. I'm still on the road doing this. So I get the number, memorize it, call it from the car phone while people are banging on my cell phone, bosses, PDs, GMs. So I'm just like ignoring the calls. I finally get a chopper. I didn't even know what a helipad was. I get a chopper. to pick him up. I tell Puff, hey, look, the helipad's landing at 4:45. You bet not be late, man. Respectfully. I got you.
You better not be late.
Man, click, boom. I pull up. They tell me where the helipad is in the back of the airport. Never been to this section of the airport in my life. Past the Lear jets and everything. I come flying up in my Act Legend coupe. Pull around. Helicopter lands. This is when I used to, y'all remember, I used to be all suited and booted before I worked at Loud Records. When I was at Arista, I was all, tied up. So I'm like disheveled, buttons all boom, sweating. I get out, Puff lands, helicopter's blowing, the wind is blowing. He hops off the chopper, and I'm like, whew. And the white van, the cargo van is waiting to pick him up to take him to backstage.
Right.
And and I was like, whew, man, we did it. He's like, yeah, what's up, baby?
Bad boy.
Bad boy, baby. Boy. You know how we do. It was nothing. And the thing that I caught right then was all that hell I went through. I got it done. I had to use my own credit card. I had to use my own gold card. It was just a day in the life to Puff. He just hopped on the chopper, hopped off the chopper, got on sound check and rocked. For me, it was an hour and a half ordeal. Mm-hmm. And everybody was like, everybody had their sights trained on me, like, oh, you were
where is he?
And when I walked in and Helen was just like, all right, Kuti. I was just like,
Helen gave you the
well, what name did you say? We didn't hear that.
Helen Little, that's my girl. She's a Don.
Just in case she catches
radio ball.
Just in case she catches.
Yes, she is.
Yes, she is. I heard y'all were talking about me. Helen.
So yeah, man. But that's one of my favorite Puff stories because what I loved about it was how no didn't exist to him.
Yeah.
You just like, and the thing of that Puff always had, I knew this from when I worked at Bad Boy in the very beginning, was nobody outworked him. So it was hard to buck against him when he made these demands of you, because if you flip the tables and I was in New York like, yo, Puff, I need you to give me a chopper. He'd have got the chopper. He might have flown that joint himself without a license.
Right.
Hey, get in.
Right.
Here we go. You'd be like, yo,
bad boy.
Swerving. Bad boy, baby.
So basically the story you just told us is similar to some of the things that he made the members in the making of the band when they had to go to Brooklyn to find breast milk. It's like, do whatever you have to do to make it happen.
But that was his ethos. Can't stop, won't stop. And it wasn't just talk. I'll give it to you. So when I was at the office that Vito vacated, who chimed in earlier, I'm at the desk, and so I'm using that number as my number now. And I remember Puff called at like 8 in the morning one time, and I wasn't there. So when I got in later, he's just like, "Yo, man, Playboy, I called you at 8. Like, why weren't you there?" And I was just like, "Cause it was 8. Cause it was 8."
Because it was 8.
I said, what I missed? He said, you ain't missed nothing, but you might miss something the next time. Be there at 8. So I came there next morning. Boom, he called 8. I was there. Bad boy. He was just like, good. I was like, what's up? What do we need? He's like, no, I just want to make sure you was there. Click. So if he's running like that, it works. If he's running like that, you can't be like, man, I ain't doing that. Because you know how it is. You see the lead dog kind of like loafing. You're like, what am I going to be? What am I breaking my back for? But you were never going to outwork him. So it made it easy to work for him. So a lot of people talk about him and how challenging he was. To me, I didn't see it as a challenge. I mean, I remember a vivid line that somebody gave me, who I won't name. I won't give him credit for it. But he said, if it's part of your job description, you're not allowed to call it pressure.
Okay.
And I own that. I was just like, you know what? He's right. Because I was moaning and complaining about something one time. He's like, yo, is it part of your job? Yeah. What you crying about? Right. Right. Outside of your job description, that's a different thing. But if it's in your job description, you're not permitted to call it pressure. And once I absorbed that, the juice dime, man, it was time to rock.
That's what's up. That's what's up. You got it right here on Shooting the Breeze Conversations with the DJ. We got my guy, Kuti Mack, in the place. Lorenzo and I do this each and every Thursday night. If you're on Facebook, definitely drop a chat. Matter of fact, shout out to Jerry Carter. Thanks for shouting us out, Jerry. Shout out to a couple of folks out there that are chiming in on Facebook that we can't put up. But next week, we're gonna spend some time with StreamYard trying to figure out how we get these things back up. If you're on YouTube, make sure we can definitely get that in there. Go ahead and go at Convo with the DJ on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. We're there on all platforms, even on Twitch.
Yeah.
And shout out to everybody that's been checking us out. Now we've been talking about Bad Boy.
But I want to add one more. I was able to get it. We're on my IG page as well. And Kokalani just chimed in and she said, Kuti, she was there. So she remembers that. She says, yes, helicopter. She remembers that. Yeah. So she chimed in to say hello.
I tell these stories, people go, that's cap. And I'm like, yo, people were there.
Yeah. Big shout going out to Greg Baker. Mike B is on here and a couple other people, without a doubt.
And it's crazy because, Kuti, Lorenzo, this is episode 6 of the second season. So this 19. The stories we've been hearing, and they all true.
Yeah.
We always ask, hey, what don't we know? So if you guys hadn't had an opportunity to check out some of our full shows, they're on YouTube. They're numerical. We got my man Kuti in the place. Unless Lorenzo wants to go somewhere else with it. You said something in on the sheet that we talked about that I want to get at.
Okay.
I said, what was the most memorable moment in your career? Do you remember what you said?
I do.
What was it?
Giving Prince career advice.
Whoa! Talking about the purple one, the bad one.
Yeah, the GOAT.
What'd you tell the GOAT, man? Look, I've known you for years. What'd you tell the GOAT?
All right, so I'm gonna try to give you the quickest version of the story, but it's a wild story.
I mean, could it be wilder than, give me a helicopter, bad boy, click?
Kind of, because Puff, man, like we're almost peers, Cap went to Howard, but man, see, yes, indeed.
You said it was a miracle.
Bro, I thought I was over, man. I thought Lionel, man, God bless CC, man. Like, anyway, so what happened?
Lionel, wow.
Yeah, Lionel right now, man. That's my man.
Yeah.
So what happens is we were so I'm a big Prince fan. Anybody knows me knows Prince is the GOAT, period. And I catch every tour. I've caught my first concert in life was Controversy. It was Prince.
Really?
I'm sorry. Yeah, it was Controversy. It was Prince, Zap, and The Time. My second concert was 1999. Prince, Vanity 6, and The Time, and bam.
That was my first concert.
Okay,
Prince,
wow. Yeah, so Controversy was my first concert, DC Armory, man.
And you beat me to the
right. I'm heavy with this. So Prince is my favorite artist, right? And I go to every tour. So he was touring, but because I was a busy, record rep, I couldn't catch the show in DC. But I'm going to Philly like every week, and he was doing Philly Theater Performing Arts, I think it was. So this is like around 99, 2000. Like this is when he had changed his name to the Symbol.
Right.
And he's like bucking against record companies, the whole nine. And so, so my sister, she's a big time business manager in the industry, and she's in LA. Oak Management, shout out to Oak Management. But at the time, she was working as an accountant. She's fresh out of school at UVA. She was working as an accountant over here in DC, and she would just run with me. And that's how she actually got in the game, because she'd be with me and start giving cats like Exhibit and Nori, people like that, like little tidbits about their finances, and then she became a business manager. So anyway, I say, yo, sis, grab one of your best friends. I'm gonna buy 3 tickets. We're gonna drive to Philly for the Prince concert. She's like, all right, cool. So we do it, tried to beat rush hour traffic, and I had come straight from doing some work. I think I came from some radio station. It was a Wednesday. Did my conference call. Bam, just hop in the car, grab my sister and a friend. We drive. I don't go to the bathroom because I'm just trying to get there, right? Trying to beat traffic. So we get to the venue. It's about maybe the show's supposed to start, let's just say 8. We get to the venue probably about 7:15. So we get to our seats. There's a couple people in the stands or whatever, and I'm like, you know what? Let me go to the bathroom now. So I didn't go to the bathroom before. I'll get y'all some drinks, and then we can just kind of lay low till the show starts. So as I'm walking the corridor, I don't know if any of y'all remember Stephanie Lopez. But she was an executive too. She worked at EMI. She worked at some other places. We worked together at Red Ant Records. But she's a sweetheart. She also worked at Billboard Records. Billboard Magazine. She was a chart manager for a while, the R&B chart. or editor or something like that. And so anyway, it was sweetheart, one of the nicest people you will ever meet in the business. Her and Kathy Moore, two of the nicest
Kathy Moore. Okay.
human beings you will ever meet in the business.
That's right. Yep.
So Stephanie sees me. She got these big saucer eyes. So she's like, Kuti. And I'm like, hey. I'm the black guy, go to the bathroom, remember? So I'm like, hey, she's like, don't move. And I was like, all right, babe, but let me go to the bathroom real quick. And then she's like, don't move. I'm just like, and she knows I'm a big Prince fan. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, what is she doing? And then slowly but surely, some other people who are Philadelphia music executives and music business people. So God bless the dead. Joe Butterball, Tim Burrow, Butter. GM in Philly legend. He pulls up. I'm trying to think who else pulled up. This woman who I think her name was Mary. She worked at what was the Spectrum. Now it's Wells Fargo, where the Sixers play. Yeah, she managed that spot. Somebody from Universal One Stop, which is a retail wholesaler, they pulled up, and I knew all these people. So I'm talking to them. It's kind of helping me keep my mind off the fact that I'm doing this little PP2 step, right? And so I'm sitting there waiting. Then finally, after a bunch of us kind of gathering, just start talking. I don't know what we're doing there. Billy Sparks, if you remember the movie Purple Rain, that's Billy Sparks. So he's part of Prince's entourage.
Yeah.
So Billy comes out. He's like, Stephanie, just everybody? All right, cool, let's go. And she's like, yes. And she's like, okay, cool, let's go. And I'm like, let's go. And she just shoves me in the back. Just shoves me into the line. So I go in there. So we go in, we get it, and we go down this corridor. And then we go to this backstage area, but it's nicer than typical backstage room. It's like a lounge or a living room type situation. Right. The seats are setting around. So we're all sitting in the round. I'm trying to make the story as quick as possible, but no.
No, you don't need to rush.
I'm sitting on like a love seat. So it's got space beside it. Everybody's sitting kind of like individual chairs and it's in a circle. And none of it, and I don't know why we're there. I didn't gather that anybody else did, but we're just talking. So we're just talking across the room, boom, boom. And then Najee comes out, the saxophone player.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know this, but Najee was in Prince's band at the time. So Najee comes out. So I'm like, is this a meet and greet with Najee? I was like, no disrespect. I was just kind of like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I gotta pee. Steph's like, sit. So I'm like, all right. So Najee comes through. We talk a little bit. All right, cool. Right. Then we're all making small talk. Just the room's just bubbling. And then automatically, I'm talking like as if we all got some internal cue. I'm saying it slower than it happened. Everybody stopped talking, stood up at the same time, and it was like somebody turned on the AC or something because the room got like 10 degrees colder. I'm not lying about any of it. We all just talking, stop, stand. And I was like, what is going on in my head? And then Prince just bounced out. And I'll never forget, he had like a brown cashmere turtleneck on. His hair was like second album Prince, like I Want to Be Your Lover Prince, like the Farrah Fawcett, point, big old school hoop earring. He had some specs on and some like gold dusted yoga pants with flair. Never forget it. Cat just popped out like it just appeared out of nowhere, just was in the middle of us, kind of, and everybody was kind of like, reverential, man, presidential. And he kind of nodded to everybody, looks around, and he looks at me. He's like, yo, shit. And I'd met him once before, but that's another story. So he's like, yo, what's your name? I was like, Kuti. He's like, who's sitting there? I was like, nobody. He said, move over. So I moved over. He just sat down, boom, just started asking questions about the music business. So I'm having this split body experience right now because this is my favorite artist. Like I said, I've met him before. But you
got to be cool the whole time.
I'm being cool because I'm
exactly. And Kuti, where is this?
What's in Philadelphia?
Philadelphia, okay.
Theater.
What year?
Around 99, 2000.
Okay, all right. That's that tour. Okay, I got it.
He was a symbol at that point.
Yeah, that tour.
A symbol. So I'm sitting there just kind of like, so he's totally independent now. He's not making records with any labels. He's putting them out on MPG Records. And so he's sitting there, he starts asking these questions, and half of me is like, yo. Yo. The other half of me is hearing what he's asking. And he's asking questions that people in the room know the answer to, but everybody's too shook to say something.
Right.
And again, as my position as a regional director of promotion at the time, I'm working some of these people. I'm working in between some of these people. You get what I'm saying? So I'm working retail, I'm working radio, I'm working venues. So I don't want to step on anybody's toes. And I want to give him my perspective because my perspective sometimes might kind of not be politically correct as it pertains to talking about radio or talking about retail, right? Mm-hmm. So he's asking the questions. I'm kind of like waiting for people. And there's legends in the room and nobody was saying anything. So finally, I was just like, I'm like, So I just started answering. I was like, this is nuts. Like, y'all are acting weird. So half of me just starts talking to him like I'm talking to y'all. So he starts asking about retail, he starts asking about radio. And he really, what I really respected about him was this dude had already made his stamp. If he had not recorded another note, not performed another time, he was already legendary Hall of Fame Prince.
Right.
And he was still asking, like, because what you got to remember was he got signed when he was a teenager.
Yeah, 16.
Well, he's asking these questions that seem like common knowledge to me, but he doesn't get it. He wasn't understanding national playlists. He wasn't understanding. He's like, yo, why are they playing West Coast hip hop in Minneapolis? Like, you know, he even said, man, I remember when I used to be on tour, we could turn on the radio and you know where you were. I'd be in New York and Dougie Fresh would be playing. And he quoted like 6 minutes. He's quoting the show. I was like, yo, Prince knows hip hop. He said, then we get to DC and it'd be like, I feel like busting loose, you know. And I was thinking, so he's just running down like all these regional records. And I was like, yo, this dude is dope. So anyway, we start talking, and because, and I even didn't want to hog the floor. So I'm like, he'd ask a question, I'd say, Mary, you know the answer to this question. And she'd give some one-word answer, and he'd look at me like, what's the real, man? And then I give him the real. So for 45 minutes, we're talking. As we're talking, I'm talking to him about radio. I'm talking to him about retail. I'm talking to him about venues. Talk to him about distribution. And then also my bladder reminded me that I had not gone to the bathroom. I was like, oh. And then I was like, dude, we've been sitting here for like 40 minutes. The show, if I left my seat at 7:15, the show's supposed to start at 8, and we've been talking here for 45 minutes, and we were already here for some time. So I waited for a polite break, and I said, yo, Pete, and you could hear the crowd. So wherever we were, we must have been right behind the stage, because you could hear the crowd getting restless. It was like, we want Prince, we want Prince. And I was like, dude, don't you have a show? And he looked at me, he said, they ain't going nowhere. And then just went right back into it, started asking questions for another 20 minutes. So when it was all said and done, he's like, yo, man, thank you. He stood up, everybody clapped for him, you know, and I'm talking like he was like, boom, boom. And it was just like, man, was just gone. Like he ain't walk out. It was just like, he was gone. And as soon as he left, the whole room exhaled. Everybody was just like, wow. And then the second reaction was, yo, Kuti. And everybody, you know, butter, everybody was just patting me on the back like, yo, you handled that. Da, 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 da. And I'm just sitting there kind of like, outer body experience, like, yo, that was nuts. You know what I mean? So then everybody's getting ready to leave. And I'm like, I'm fine, I can go to the bathroom. And then this hand stops me. And I was just like, yo, I gotta go, man. It was his bodyguard. He says, yo, man, Prince really appreciated what you had to say, man. I was like, I was just doing me, man. He's like, all right, cool. He says, give me this like laminate. He says, yo, we having an after party at Brave New World. You know, we want you to come, man. You invited. And I said, you know, I would take this. I said, but I'm here with like 2 other people, and I don't want to like, I thank you, but I got other people. He said, yo, if you show this, you could bring 30 people. I said, all right, cool. So I took it. He said, man, thank you. See you tonight. I said, all right, bet. So I go back to my seat. So mind you, I've been gone for like an hour now.
Right. Go
to the bathroom finally, get the drinks. I come. Sister and her friend are like, yo, bro, where you been, man?
You don't believe this.
Yeah, I was like, you're not going to believe this. They're like, what? I said, man, they said, you won't believe who I was talking to. They're like, who? I'm saying it way slower than it happened. Who? I said, Prince. Dude, the whole section turned around like, man, get out of here. I said, no, I'm serious. They're like, whatever. I said, no, he gave me this. And I pull out the laminate, right? In slow motion. He gave me this. Everybody goes, ooh, the lights drop. And the crowd just screams, ah! And then Prince came out to like Uptown. I'll never forget it. But that thing where I was like, nah, I'm serious. He gave me this. Ooh, lights. Ah! The craziest intro to a concert that I've ever experienced in my life. Like it went from everybody being like, man, get out of here to, yo, lights. And Prince just popped up on stage. And I was just like, that was nuts.
Did you ever work at Warner?
I never worked at Warner. I remember Barry Terry was there. I think Nat worked there for a while. Yeah. Nat Martin. Mm-hmm. I never worked at Warner. And I never technically worked with Prince. Stephanie, who I was telling you about, she was trying to hire me at EMI. And I was at A&M Records at the time, and they were promising me an A&R job, which is what I always had really wanted. So when she came to me, she couldn't tell me why she wanted me to work with her. But she's like, you got to come work with us, man, because you're not going to regret it. And I was like, yeah, but I was like, what records do y'all got? You know what I mean? You know, we didn't know that D'Angelo was coming, didn't know the Prince was going to be signed.
Did you go to the after party?
I did go to the after party.
Okay. Is that when you gave him the life experience?
So here's the after party.
Here we go.
So we get to the after party, Brave New World. Now, Wednesday night was like an off-brand night for that club.
Right.
When we get there, it's nobody in there. Like, nobody. So we get in there. I go to VIP. I show my thing, bring my sister and her friend. We go to VIP, and some Philadelphia people were there. A couple of Sixers were there. Sean Stockman from Boys and Men, who I'd worked with as well. So we knew each other. Sean Stockman, cool brother. God bless you, Sean. Sean was there. My girl, I thought my girl Stacy, who works with Questlove, was there, but I asked her about this story a while ago. She didn't quite remember.
I remember.
But I thought she was there, but I know she was there when I brought Luke there. But that's another story. So me and Sean are talking. You know, we're waiting, and it's like, 2:30, 3. Mind you, I still got to drive to DC.
Damn.
3:15, 3:20. And then finally the club is just like, yo, we shutting down, bro. Prince and I'm like, but Prince is gonna come. I'm gonna be here in VIP with Prince. Like, they're like, bro, we shutting it down. Me and Sean, we hung as long as we could. And so they turn all the lights on. It's brighter in there than it is here, right? They turn all the lights on. As soon as they turn the last light on, Prince pulled up.
Keep the club open.
But it was just kind of like, it was nothing to do. So Prince pulls up. He gets up in there. I think the DJ had already left. It was just like, it was just us in silence. It was just us in silence in VIP, like. And then
that's crazy.
Then 3 minutes later, we all left, man. That was the VIP story. But,
that's crazy.
Yeah, man. But I had two other. I'll give you the quick version of my third encounter with Prince. It was in LA during Christmas. It was when Hey Ya by Outkast was out. You know, I worked with Outkast, so I was cool with them cats. Dre wanted to take a break, so he wanted to get into acting. So he was in LA filming the sequel to Get Shorty. I can't remember what it was called.
Okay.
And so he's out there. So I bumped into him just randomly at a club, and I was like, and he's literally wearing the outfit from Hey Ya, the green sweater. And at first I was like, who's this dude trying to dress like Dre? And he's sitting by himself. And I was like, and he sees me, he's like, Kuti. And I'm like, Dre, I'm like, oh, what you doing here? He's like, what you doing here? I was like, my sister lives out here, but what are you doing here? And I'm taking a little time off, make this movie, over Christmas. I was like, well, I said, do you know your way around? He's like, nah, it's just me. He had a homeboy named King. It's just me and King. And he's just laying low. I was like, forget that, man. You going out. I was like, I'm like, you're not going to be weird recluse. I'm taking you out. So I said, we're going to meet up. On Friday when it's a little more cracking. We're going to go to Sky Bar on top of the Mondrian on Sunset. So I get King. We go that Friday. It's me, my sister, my cousin's like my big bro, his girlfriend, King, Dre. So we get to the Mondrian, and usually it's popping, but because it's Christmas time in LA is dead. So nobody's really in there. So we go to the rooftop. On the way to the rooftop, you pass the pool. Sitting at the pool was another artist I worked with, Usher.
King of Petty. We'll talk about that video later.
Yeah. So it's Usher and there was this woman sitting with him that he's talking to, and they were kind of arguing. And I was like, I didn't know who she was. Right. But then like a year or two later, some books came out, and I was like, oh, I know that chick. That Superhead chick is
Oh, that was Superhead.
So Corinne Stephens.
Corinne Stephens.
Yeah.
My bad.
My bad. So anyway, so I see them. That's just casual. Like I just see them.
Right.
So me, Dre, we're up there. And it's just kind of dead. DJ's playing. But I'm just happy you just have Dre out because he's like, I'm not doing anything. It's Christmas time. Like, no, don't be by yourself. So we're just hanging out, just talking, catching up. And my thing was, why are you playing this so low key? You got the #1 record in the country right now. Like, Hey Ya was cracking.
Yeah.
Like, yo, you are like it right now. You over here just playing. I'm like, yo, you tripping, man. Like, so anyway, he's sitting there. Tracy Morgan comes in with some of his boys, smelling like weed, way underdressed. We talk. They're over there on this corner. And then I remember we were just kind of talking. Then out of nowhere, I blinked and the place just got jam packed. Everybody just wall to wall. So my sister comes running up to me. She's like, yo! I'm like, what? She's like, and the music's blasting. She's like, I'm sitting there with Dre. She's like, guess who's here? And I'm like, who? She's like, Prince. And I'm like, oh, word, where is he? She goes, right there. Bama was standing right next to me, man. Like right next to me. And I was just like, oh, snap. So now I look at Dre. I'm like, and see, me and Dre have lengthy conversations about music.
Right.
And we talked about Prince. I'm a big Prince head. He was a big Prince head too. I'm putting him onto these. I got like these, unreleased. I got Prince's high school demos. I got everything on that dude. So I'm just sprinkling all that stuff on Dre. So when I'm not taking credit for it, but when The Love Below came out, and you heard records like She Lives in My Lap and Prototype, I knew exactly seeds of that was, because we had these conversations. We listened to this stuff in my car or at the crib, just really pouring over this stuff. So anyway. I'm like, so I know he's a Prince fan, big boy too, but I know he's a Prince fan. So I'm just like, and at this point, I work with them like on Stankonia. So we talking about like 2 album cycles before. So I'm thinking about this point, you had to have met Prince. You know what I mean?
Right.
Outkast was huge. Stankonia, they had the whole world won another Grammy. Now they're coming out with the Speak About Love Below, and they got, the way that they cracking. So I'm just like, I know you know Prince, right? And he's just like, nah. And he's sitting beside me like this. Nah, like he won't even look.
He won't look.
I was like, dude, you're being a weirdo right now. Like, I know you're a fan. And my thing is, selfishly, I'm like, dude, I could be the conduit right here.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I can make it happen.
I'm skipping a whole other story when Stankonia was out and they were on tour in DC the same night Prince was on tour in DC. We got a note at our in-store. We were doing an in-store in DC by Howard, Willie's by Howard. And somebody just comes and slips a note to me and it's like, yo, Prince requests Outkast presence at his party at this club, on whatever. So I was like, ooh, we gonna meet Prince. And I got like the hottest art. I was like, this is gonna be a career. That was gonna be the best moment in my career.
Right.
It didn't happen. But I'll tell that story later if we got time. So what happens is, so I'm like, all right. So I'm like, yo, Dre, I know you know Prince. He's like, nah. I'm just like, dude, and he's being just low. He won't even turn his head. So I said, you being a weird. So I turned, but now at this point, Prince's security was between us. So I turned, so I was like, yo, my man. I'm like, come down. I'm like, come on, yo, my man. Big dude. I was like, yo, I'm here with Andre, from Outkast. I'd like to introduce these guys if we could, So he whispers over to Prince. Prince kind of boom, boom. Now that's when Prince was married to his second wife. The woman that's married to the one that's married to Eric Benet. No, Manuela Testolini or something.
Okay,
yeah. So she's Eric Benet's wife now. So they set up this little section in the corner. They wall it off with chairs. They set up a table with like 5 seats, I believe it was, and the security kind of surrounds it. And they come back over to me like, okay, cool. Prince is ready to see y'all. So it's me, Dre, King, Prince, and his wife sitting at this table, and security, walled around. And I can just, you're the fishbowl now. Like everybody's looking because it's Andre and Prince at the table. I introduced them, and then they started having a conversation. At this point, Prince is Jehovah's Witness, and he was really doing his best to convert us. And then he started just spitting game, like about 40 straight minutes of game about just how to maneuver in the business. And I remember the line that came, the jewel from there, all through the career, man, there's people dropping jewels. He says to Dre, he says, man, if they're on your payroll, they're not your friend. Just remember that.
Ooh, wee.
No matter who they are. If they're on your payroll, they're not your friend. So always have people around you who, aren't getting paid by you.
Wow.
And that was the gem that I took. I was like, man. And like I said, his wife was there. Boom. So if you fast forward just a year or two later, Prince releases Musicology. It's his comeback album. He's #1 on the Billboard charts again. He has hit records. He's winning Grammys. He has the tour that kills. And he gets inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that year.
Right.
That's when he played When My Guitar Gently Weeps, threw his guitar in the air, and that joint never came down. And all them other cats, it was like, wow. But if you remember, when you go to the Hall of Fame, somebody gives a speech to induct you.
Right.
Alicia Keys and Outkast gave the speech. That happened because of the conversation.
Wow.
That we had then.
Wow. Man, I just got chill bumps.
Wow.
I just got chill bumps.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
So I'm somewhere between the black Kevin Bacon and the black Forrest Gump with a little bit of Benjamin Button. Like, you know, I'm somewhere in that mix, man. I've been around for a lot of stuff, man.
Yeah, man, that's good stuff. Shout out to Sean Rivers. She says, "Wow." I'm pretty sure a lot of folks are saying that. Heart attack chime.
What up, Tack?
Tack, we got to get you on the show because Tack is constantly.
Yeah, he got some stories too.
He got stories, so we got to get Tack on. Tack, we're coming for you, Tack. We're coming for you.
Cootie, there was the concert that he had, I guess, on that same tour. He came to Washington, D.C. Right? So we were talking about. I remember Prince would always party. I was just about to say that. I was just about to say that.
That was the first time I met Prince. The first time I met
House
Prince.
of Secrets.
House of Secrets.
Yes.
When he was on tour with Shaka Khan.
Exactly. Vito, I was just about to set that up because if you know, I was doing parties in Washington, D.C.
Come up for that party.
Right. So Prince was doing a concert and they announced he was doing an after party. And I was like, yo, I need to do a party that's different. I can't have it at a club. I can't have it at a ballroom. I can't have it at a lounge. I got to be different. Lorenzo Ice T Thomas got to be different, right? So I'm looking for a venue, right? Got to be different. So I said, I heard that Prince was throwing an after party. I said, if Prince is throwing an after party at a venue, it's got to be sexy, it's got to be eclectic, and it has to be different. I'm like, where's he throwing this after party? They said, the House of Secrets. I said, all right, I'm going. So I'm going to this after party, and I walk into the house because it is literally a house
in the neighborhood,
and in a neighborhood right down the block from Howard University. That's right. And you walk into the place, and it's so eclectic, artifacts,
eyeballs on the wall,
yes, and lava lamps and bean bags, and it's 3 separate floors. Yeah. So I'm like, yo, this is the place where I need to throw my eyes wide shut party because that's what I want to do. That was the perfect place for it, you know? So that's when I discovered that place, and Prince was there that night. So then, you know, he's there, he's chilling. I think he had on all white, what have you, but then you realize how short he really is.
Thank you. So here's how I got into that part. So here's where another thing for anybody that's watching is like interested in getting into the music business or staying in the music business, relationships matter. And how you treat people all along the way.
That's right.
Will always I'm telling you, it always came back around. And I was never unaware of the privilege that I had of being in the music business. And it always felt like a dream. It never felt like a job. And I never took it for granted. I was never one of those people who just expected to get in when I popped up. I'd be getting in line. They'd be like, Kuti, what you doing in line? You know, come on, man, you're Kuti, get in. So right. When I was at Loud Records, I worked with this artist named Davina. And and like I told you before, in the DC market, you could break an artist in your market alone and have them do well, even if they didn't do well nationally. Because you get them airplay, you get them record sales, you get them shows. I had her perform at the same venue that I saw Michelle Ndegeocello debut from, that I saw Maxwell debut from, that I saw D'Angelo debut from, because she was one of those kind of artists. Okay. And so when you performed there, it almost signified that you were about to be one of those kind of artists, right? Right. So when I did that show, we did it, had all the PDs come through, you know, they enjoyed it, whatever. And so she had this dude that was her music director that I think he was either playing bass or guitar. His name was Kato. Kato had his own records. He was signed to Warner Brothers Records. Now, here's where that me being a geek comes to play. I remember Kato because I would see his videos on Video Vibrations. If anybody remembers BET, Video Vibrations was where you'd see the videos that weren't necessarily the mainstream records. They might have been cool records that sound good or have cool videos, but they weren't the records, they were the hits, right? And so Kato had a record. Kato had a record on there. Then he produced a record for this woman named Kasserine, and I could tell the sound was the same. So when I got that record, I saw that Kato produced it. So I knew this dude's track record. So Kato pops up in Davina's band. So I'm just like, yo, my man, are you the same Kato that produced Kasserine? As soon as I asked that question, he was just like, man. So we became fast friends because I knew who he was and I saw him. He wasn't used to being seen like that. So short story long, fast forward a couple years later, maybe 1 year later, not that long, maybe 1 year later. And I'm sitting in the stands, like, again, I'm at the show early, Constitution Hall, and I see Kato just walking up the aisle. So I yell out to him, yo, Kato. And he looks up, he's like, yo, Kuti, what's up? I was like, what are you doing here, man? He said, man, you won't believe this. He said, Prince's sound guy got sick and he called me he lives in Detroit. He said he called me, just flew me in from Detroit, bro. He just to do his sound because he knows I know his music and I know his sound. And I was just like, wow. He said, bro, I don't even have luggage. He said, I just got on a plane and got out here. He said, I got a hotel I'm staying at. I don't have transportation. He's like, dude, I'm really kind of like out right now. It's Prince. So I did it. so he's like, well, man, I gotta go. But he said, man, if you want, if you can give me a ride to my hotel, Prince is doing some kind of after party video shoot or something after the show. I'll have you come with me because you had to have like a code word to get in.
Right. I'm
like, all right, cool. So Prince does his show, does his whole thing. I find Kato, I get him, I drive him to his hotel because he didn't know nothing about DC, so he just had addresses. So I drove him to his hotel, got his stuff, said, okay, cool, let's go. He just gave me directions to this place. And I'm thinking, I'd never been to House of Secrets before, so I'm driving. I'm like, we're going to Howard, dude. Like, I'm like, we go to a residential area, just row houses, and it's super quiet. The only tell was that there was a tour bus at the end of the street. I was like, you sure this is a party? Lights is off outside. He's like, yeah, man. Dress. So we get there, he knocks on the door, says whatever, paisley purple, whatever. Boom, they let us in. So we get in there. When I get in there, I'm talking like everybody who is anybody. Everybody who is anybody in DC. I'm talking politicos.
Yep.
Anybody. They were all in there that night. So I'm just like, wow. And of course I know people, so I'm kind of boom, boom. So I had this toothpick. That was my thing. Me and Puff used to rock, the little cinnamon stick, whatever. Got a little toothpick in my mouth.
Bad boy.
Yeah, bad boy, baby. You know how we do. So I'm sitting at that. So when you walk in, there's like a narrow hall, and there's like a room. So I'm at the end of the hall, just sitting there, and they made some announcement like, okay, look, Prince is gonna pull up in here soon, and if you just the main thing is be normal and don't really like stare him down. So I'm like, all right, cool, but I'm at like the door is facing me, so the door opens. He was wearing red, Lorenzo. He was wearing all red sequin something or other, but you were right about his eyes. So he walks in, and when he walks in, everybody kind of like, oh. And he's walking straight.
But the wall was red, so he was blending in with the wall.
Yes, fact.
Yeah, I remember that's. Yep.
Yeah. When he walks in,
protein bar. Man, would you just got the protein bar?
Eating the cookie.
I won't tell anybody. So he's walking in, and he's walking dead at me because he's going to go up the stairs to the attic, the third floor. Right. And so, I'm just sitting there, kind of 1 foot on the wall, and the whole time I'm trying to think, what do you say to the guy? Like,
right.
This is like the first time I met him one time before, but that wasn't really a meeting. It was just we were in the same space, and I was a kid back when like 1999 was out. But this was like the first time.
Before Philly. This is before Philly.
Yeah, this is before Philly. So this was first. Philly was second. The LA story with Andre was third. So this is my first time like meeting Prince for real. And Cat's walking up, he's just walking straight at me, and I'm just kind of like, and I can't like look away because it's just kind of weird. So I'm just kind of looking at him, and I was thinking like, yo, what do I say? This is like my this is it. And so he stops because I'm not in his way, but he had to kind of move to get around me. So he's like, hey, what's up, man? And I was like this. I was like, shut up.
Just cinnamon toothpick.
I was just like, yeah. So he goes upstairs, and when he finally clears and he's gone, the whole room turns around like, man, you just head nodded Prince. Like, it was like, yo, you nuts? What you? I was like, I didn't know what to say. I was just like,
you don't because I know when I saw him, I think it was on the second floor, and he was standing against the wall. And I guess it was all red because he blended in with the wall because the lighting on the wall was red. Right. And I'm like, what do you say to Prince? So I just walked up. I introduced myself, told him I was with 93.9 WKYS, and I tell him the story about how I needed to find a place, and I followed your recommendation, Prince. I said I knew if you were going to have the after party somewhere, it was going to be dope. So then I said I'm going to have. I ended up having 3 separate parties at that place, and this was before I started doing my Jamaica trips. Right. So all the parties at the House of Secrets then basically allowed me to build up the clientele to get people to travel to Jamaica for my birthday. Right. So it was, it was like a 5-minute conversation. Pleasure to meet you. And then, you got to leave him alone and let him have a good time.
So basically, Kato starts to go upstairs too. And then Kato's like, oh, I got some people with me. No, I think I was about to go. And they said, look, man, we can only have like one person. And I had my sister with me. So Kato could bring one person up. And so I said, you know what, sis? My sister's built just like me, but just feminine version, kind of Angela Bassett type body, you know, and she's a little thing, about 4'10", right? And so I said, you know what, sis? Even though this is my first time, I'm like, you go up. You know what I'm saying? You go up. You go up with Kato. You know, that's love. You know, just tell me what happened. And Prince was just like, wait, she's with you? He's like, yeah. Because Kato said, you know, this is my man. And I gave it up to my sister. He said, nah, both of y'all come up. I was like, okay, cool. So Prince goes up. My sister, 4'10", goes up behind him and just totally eclipses him. And for the first time in my life, I realized how small that cat. I was like, this dude is dainty to the world. I was like, yo, her shoulders just eclipsed him. And I was just like, as they're going up the stairs, I was like, yo, how small? Because when you're talking to this cat, it's like you're talking to Shaq.
Yeah, definitely. You're
looking at him in his face. His head is regular size, I guess, but it feels like you're talking up. And his voice is deeper than yours.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. True.
So his voice is deeper than yours. That whole thing that, you know, Charlie Murphy talking about, that aura type thing. Yeah. I've only experienced it twice. One was Prince. The other was Erykah Badu.
Okay. So now, Kuti, that night, did he go upstairs to the attic? That's where they had the instruments and the piano. Did he go? He went up and played up there.
I went up there and played.
You went up there and played.
I went up there and sat at a rose just like this.
Okay.
And it was this dime. Okay. I mean, one of them Prince, you know, James Bond.
Yeah, I remember.
It was a dime sitting there. And I was just like, man, how many times I was like, look, you know how to play a little, little chords in there. And then Prince walked up, and I was just like, I'm looking stupid right now. Shaka Khan and Larry Graham was sitting over here in the corner. That was the first time I met Shaka.
Right.
And so playing, and Dougie Fresh was there.
Okay, he was there that night.
Dougie Fresh came up because I remember Dougie Fresh came up, and when Dougie Fresh came up, I stopped playing and I started talking. And so me, Prince, and Dougie are talking, and Prince said something like, I think that's when I was like, went to dap him up, and he kind of put a fist. He said, no disrespect, man. He said, but brothers don't know how to shake hands, man. I make money with these hands. Like, I can't have cats just crushing my hands. I was just like, that's a good point. I never thought about that. He just said, right. So then he says, yeah, and he starts talking to Dougie. He says, yeah, I remember the Purple Rain tour, man. We used to rock that 6, man. And again, he's singing the show.
I do remember Dougie there.
Hip hop, and I'm saying like, and this is Prince. His look then was like, remember the video, Most Beautiful Girl in the World? He had like the Halle Berry haircut and the heavy eye makeup. Like, so this dude is talking, Dainty's on the what is talking about, like, Dougie, like Slick Rick, and that was a dope moment. That was a dope moment. And then, like I said, Shaka Khan and Larry Graham were there, and I was just like,
everybody was there that night. Yeah, everybody. And I just remember I started hanging out with the owners of the house because I wanted to make sure I locked everything down when I was going to throw my events. But I remember everybody saying, they're having a mini concert upstairs, Lorenzo.
And he was like, yo, keep going. I was like,
I remember that.
I was like, I don't know about 3 of these joints. I don't get out here and look stupid. It was like, just enough to get their attention, you know.
That's crazy. Hey, we're gonna keep this rolling because Kuti and I are talking about, events that we talked about the Gilbert Arenas, right?
The wild part though, I don't remember seeing you there.
Yeah, I was
That's
there.
How crazy the night was.
I don't remember. I don't remember seeing you either.
There's so many people who were just like, yo, I was at that joint, or they were furious that they couldn't get in. Like when I bring it up, they're like,
are you talking about the Prince party or the Gilbert Arenas party? The Prince party was crazy.
I remember Gilbert Arenas, but I was like, the Prince party, like I remember people be mad when I just casually threw out like, oh yeah, I was at this House of Secrets party. They were like, you were there? And I was like,
but there was a lot of people mad that they were not there too.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
You had to be in the know, but I'm piggybacking. We're kind of going backwards, but let's talk about, and I guess you have some pictures, about the experience because you're sitting there with one of my faves of all time on your shirt, Morris Day. Yes. And I have been on the radio for quite some time, and I had the opportunity This picture right here that you're looking at is Morris Day and Jerome, and of course, Kuti Mack. But it was an entire week on V103 in Baltimore.
Yes.
That I had the opportunity to work and do the morning show with Morris Day and Jerome the entire week.
Hilarious.
Hanging out in the studio with them. And we even did, Kuti, we did a crank phone call to Prince.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a crank phone call to Prince at that same time.
Did you even record it?
Yeah, I got it. I got it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I got it.
One day and play it.
Yeah, I have it. And as much of a fan as I was, of course, of Prince, but of Morris Day and the time and the influence that he just had on my whole persona, my whole swag, my whole approach to just dealing with women and girls. You had to have that walk and jungle love and chili sauce. You know what I mean? You had to know about chili sauce.
If the kid can't make it, nobody can.
That's right. And just to have that opportunity to, and it, like you said earlier, it's all about, comes down to relationships.
Yeah.
So having those relationships with you and the record company at the time, we were able to, no pun intended, or maybe a pun was intended, at the time, to be able to have that opportunity to work with them for an entire week during the morning show together. What's your memories of that, Kuti?
Man, we were clowning.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And just the, they had the chemistry because they, just been doing it forever. So they're like, Laurel and Hardy out there. They just going back and forth with it. And then you and I are cool. And then being super fans. So it was just like we were all meant to be on the air together. I just remember us just cracking jokes every time we would be doing traffic and just come up with some little freestyles over the traffic, honk your horns and flash your lights. And flash your lights. We just made everything funky, man. And,
is that where I got that from?
That's where it came from.
Oh, snap.
I remember we did it right there on the
That's
spot.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's forever embedded in my head, and I don't remember where I got it from.
That's where it came from, man.
Wow.
And of course they had a blast saying my name, so it was hilarious. So I just remember having so much fun, feeling like I was exactly where I needed to be with who I needed to be with, and it was such a full circle moment, because you go from being a fan, a legit fan, like you paid money and invested time into these people, and then it doesn't always work this way, but that when you get a chance to interact with them at length, they still hold up and they don't disappoint. They don't disappoint the image that you have of them. And they're super cool and super gracious and super humble and super hilarious and stay in character. And I mean, they uplifted the show because they were on it. They added star power to the show. They created moments for us, to share. You know what I mean? So that I just remember that being the best, getting up at 3, 4 in the morning to get to Baltimore, that could ever happen.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing the platform too. You know what I'm saying? Because you didn't have to.
And that picture right there is taken in front of the bathroom, the men's bathroom, right outside the studio.
Right outside the studio.
At V103 in Baltimore, which is now extinct.
Yeah.
But there were such memories. And what do you remember about, let's say, because I learned something today, because I thought you were already in the music business when you were dating Casey when I was in Norfolk. I thought you were already in the business, and she was telling me about you. And probably because...
not to be arrogant, but man, dude, music is my thing, man. It's been my thing since I was a shorty. Like I said, I was 9 years old going to Prince concerts. Dude, like music. I was writing songs when I was 7. So music, I knew that everything, the minutia about music. Before you could just Google stuff. I was Shazam. I mean, what's that song that go da 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 da? Oh, you talking about the glamour song? Yeah. I was, and to this day, people still call me, yo, man, who was that artist? Da, 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 da. Music was my thing. So,
but what was it like for you being new in the business to walk into an office to see an Eric, who was a music director at that time? I was an assistant PD and a music director and working at BET doing video vibration. So when you're coming to see either one of us, we had the power to add your songs.
True.
Am I lying, E?
No, we had a whole lot of power back then.
Yeah, and the thing is, in
all
some
the facts on the wall says that.
Yeah, I can say now that, you know, man, the first year and a half, man, I was just flying by the seat of my pants.
Right.
I didn't, you know, once I left Bad Boy and got my first real paying job at Scottie Brothers, you know, I thanked them for the opportunity. I think they put out to me, but I was working like artists like Freddie Jackson, Gerald Alston on their like, you know, second go round.
Mm-hmm.
But the record that really broke and gave me like, okay, this kid might actually be somebody and stick was the Skilo record, I Wish. And so when I
gets played today, gets played.
Exactly. And so and that's what I'm trying to say. When I'm watching the remake of White Man Can't Jump and Skilo comes on, I'm just like, yo, man, I did that. You know what I mean? So it's like
my footprint, my fingerprint.
So the fact that it's still there, you know, I'm humbled by that. But what carried me back then, honestly, was just that I just knew a lot about music. So what I could do is come and talk to Eric and say, okay, look, I got this record over here by fill in the blank artist. Look, I'm not even gonna lie to you, right? Like if I was to try to sell you, I'm not gonna try to sell you on this record. Right. But let me tell you what I know. And we'd listen to other people's records. I'd be like, yo, this record right here, boom, boom, that joint's the truth. This right here, that's the truth. And cats would say, oh, this dude, Kuti knows. Let me tell you something. Aaron Maxwell just called me like 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
We had a 30-minute conversation about music, like music that's out right now.
Wow. Okay.
Eric Maxwell, for anybody listening, Aaron Maxwell was Eric Lee's program director.
Yep. Back in the day.
It's all family, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's who I've always been. So when I first got in the game, I was the cat you knew. Okay, so when I came and said either I need this record or I think this record is a good record, even if it's not a hit, I had credibility because I could speak legitimately about other people's records.
Right.
The first year of my career, man, at Scottie Brothers, I was talking more about everybody else's records than I was talking about mine because I knew I ain't have no hits. But what happened was cats started to endear to me because it's like, man, this little kid, man, he coming in here. Because I remember the first time I went to see Daisy Davis in Philly. I went to go see her, and I had some records. She looked me off so cold. She's like, internship applications at the front desk. My soul was crushed. I was sitting there, I went back out to the parking lot and called my VP, like yo, man, she just carried me, dude. She didn't even he's like, man, if you don't get your record back in there and get your record. And I went back in, got myself together. I was like, actually, I'm working your record. She's like, since when did kids start working records? And I was like, ma'am, I'm not a kid. I work for Scottie. Here's my card. I'm the new da-da-da-da-da. And our relationship started. I love Daisy to death. That's my woman still to this day. But, you know, I was the young cat. But
we
didn't have that perception of Kuti, did we?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, but you know why? You know why y'all didn't?
We cool.
Because Steve walked me in.
Okay.
Y'all already met me because
I already knew from Casey though.
And I was running with Bad Boy by that time.
And then Casey came up and worked with me in at V103 for a short period of time.
Yes.
Right.
That's what it was. I remember because I met you and Aaron at CDX when we did the Big Mac tour. So
with
Craig Mack and
Biggie.
Yeah, we took them on promo tour. So that's probably why, because I came in already with, you know, heavy artillery behind me. So by the time I was a record rep, it was like y'all probably thought I think I dressed up and comported myself a little, you know, mature.
But you're a good dude. I mean, by that time, man, you know, the thing about it is Aaron and I would never really work hard. We were never the program directors that were going, the programmers that was going to give you real hell.
Right.
You know?
That's true.
Y'all, we all the same age, we're the same age, young cats.
Yeah. We were a fair shot. We like to hang out. You know, we'd hang out, you know, go to, you know, I'm trying to think, what was the spot?
Ivory's.
Yeah, Ivory's.
We had Steve on. We had Steve on about 6 or 7 weeks ago.
Oh my God!
About that too, love.
Because I was about to say in Norfolk it was Silver Shadows, right?
Picasso's, and David's Club David's. That was the club with the boxing ring right in the middle of the dance floor. Yeah. I think there may have been the Silver Shadows. I don't remember. It was the Picasso's. I worked Picasso's and the Nile in Hampton.
It was Picasso's in Norfolk, Silver Shadows in Baltimore.
Okay.
That's
what it was. That's what. Oh yeah.
Silver Shadows in Baltimore.
Oh, Silver Shadows was some fun.
Yes.
So
we would hang out and get the chance. And, you know, we'd spend a night you know, maybe even 2 sometimes, and just kick it, you know, and do regular things. And what I loved about the game back then was a lifestyle gig. So I always told people it was like you did the things that you would do if you were. I always tell people if I treated most of my girlfriends the way I treated my PDs and MDs and mixers, man, I'd be like boyfriend of the year, like because you were there at the weddings, you were at the baby shower. If you were a good record rep, you know, you were there for everything.
That's funny.
Right.
That's funny.
You tuned into Shooting the Breeze Conversation with the DJ. We got my man Kuti Mack in the place. If you're checking us out on YouTube, definitely hit the subscription button as well as the notification as we do this each and every Thursday, and you'll be notified when we go live. If you're checking us out on Facebook, definitely hit the like button. Shout out to my man Bernard Leach, Virginia State University in the house. Thank you, my brother. He says he enjoying the show, learning a lot about us. Lorenzo already said he appreciates us, and he's from Baltimore.
Hey,
with his jokey ass. That's my dude. He takes me out on the golf course and tells me how bad I am. Vicken says, "Hey guys, hello, Vicken." So if you get a chance, go ahead, drop that line. And Heart Attack said, "Well, we're talking about how Kuti was so." Had so much knowledge in the music, into the music. He says, "Yep, that's true."
I'm humbled by that.
Let's go back to those bad boy days because we talked about Big Mac, and let's talk about the NOTORIOUS.
Man, the greatest ever.
Christopher Wallace.
The greatest ever. I remember when we'd go down to Virginia a lot. And matter of fact, that was how I met Jay-Z, but I didn't know Jay-Z. How can I say this delicately? I didn't know him as a rapper.
Right.
I knew him as one of Big's boys that, you know, we'd come down and, you know, at the time, you know, when you first start making records as an artist, you're not necessarily getting paid yet. And so Biggie had like Juicy out and you know, he wasn't getting paid yet, but we were starting to do shows, but he would, you know, you just want to get a little money. So like, yo, cool, you should find me a little show like at V-State or something, and then, you know, get a little whatever, and I'll hit you off, blah, blah, blah. So I'd organize something at V-State, and then halfway there, he'd be like, yo, pull over here, da, da, da. And I'm like, why are we pulling over? He's like, go meet one of my mans. All right, cool. Tall, skinny cat, big rope chain, go-to, high top fade. I didn't know that was Jay, but it was Jay.
I heard about the pounds you got down in Georgetown, and I heard you got half of Virginia
on lockdown.
So Big would hop out my Civic, go do his thing,
right?
And then like he'd like pick me up in like 2-3 hours. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll come back. I'm like, look, man, don't get in no trouble because Puffs don't kill me. I got you, cool. Da-da-da. He'd come back, caked up. I ain't ask no questions. We go to V-State and then we do a show and then we come back to Richmond and do whatever we had to do in Richmond. So that was how I knew Jay, to be honest. I knew Jay like that way. I was like, oh, so like I remember he started partying up in DC a little bit, and I remember like, again, at that point I kind of understood where he was at the time, and then you know about a year or two later he was making records, but yeah, man, Big, greatest of all time. I remember vividly. Just at that time, you talk about being in the culture. So we're the same age, right? Born almost around the same, just a couple months from each other. And I remember when the album, we got, we'd get advances of the album back then. So we got advance of the album and I'm playing it. I'm excited about this record. I'm playing it for everybody in the office. And I remember like some of the pop reps and some of the older reps at Arista being like, yeah, it's cool. I'm like, yo, this is a classic. Like this might be like the best thing ever. And they're like, it's another rap album. You know how it does. We put a record out, single before the record. The album's going to drop another single. It'll be gone by, this is like around late summer. It'll be gone by December. I remember arguing like, you were crazy. And I'm saying this to like people who are my seniors, not my peers, people that, my mentors. I'm like, you're nuts. This dude is going to be like it. And I remember them being like, yeah, calm down, kid. Like, you're showing your age right now. Ooh. So when I think it was when down the line, I think it was One More Chance knocked Michael Jackson out of number 1.
Okay.
On the Billboard chart. And when that happened, that was not too long before this picture was taken. And I remember when I saw him and that picture was taken, man, we just looked at each other like, yo, man, we did it. You know what I mean? Like, and I remember driving in my Civic and I asked him one time, like, yo, what when you get your first like real money, what you gonna get? He said, I'm gonna get my mom a condo in Jersey. He said, what you gonna get? I was driving a Civic at the time. I said, I'm gonna get that Acura Legend coupe.
And you still got it.
And I told y'all, I still got that car. And that's why, because that car represents so much to me.
Right.
That car represents like manifestation, hard work. You know, I'm not trying to stump. I mean, I got that car. I paid that joint off in like 8 months.
Right.
And I never spent a dime of my own on that car. That was all industry money, mileage for the gas and maintenance and insurance. And I paid that joint off in less than a year. You know what I'm saying? That Legend coupe means everything to me.
Okay. Don't ever get in an accident, bro, because you know they're gonna total it.
They tried. I got it. They tried. Like, I went to the shop and said, yo, my man, this is what you're gonna do for me.
Here's what you gonna do.
We'll pull this frame, you're gonna put the numbers, I will pay you, cat, whatever, but you cannot total this ride.
Hey, I just got this, believe it or not, yesterday. And the fact that you said Jay-Z was in Richmond or Big had to catch up with Richmond. This is before he had an opportunity to blow. One of my boys sent this to me. He said, man, you don't remember this? Let me see if I can share it. Let's see if it pop up. Okay, it did pop up.
It was 1998. I went to a signing in Virginia.
I saw this, yeah.
When it all changed, because I was a businessman the first day. I'm the executive producer on my first album, so I'm just used to it. It's been that way since the beginning. But the minute it changed was in 1998. I went to a record store in Virginia, and I walked in. It was just me and my friends. It was no big deal.
So, like I said, man, it sounds outrageous when I say it. Thank you for sharing that, because I've never even seen that. But
you know where that was, right?
Yeah, I know where that was.
Willie's Records.
Willie's on Broad Street.
Willie's Records
on Broad Street. Come on, man.
On Broad Street. That's right.
People were out there that day.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying, man. Like, you know, I've been there, man. And with Big, you know, I'll say this though, on a sadder note, you know, when he I can't even talk about when he passed, but I remember my mother just supported anything that I did. And so when I would have industry parties or have events, I would just invite her. And, you know, she was older than everybody there. You know, she'd come through, sit in VIP and have a blast. So she met TLC. She met Aaliyah. She met Run DMC. She met Biggie. She heard me talk about Tupac. And I remember, it must have been when Aaliyah died. She would just call me like, you know what? The only thing I don't like about your business is that like all those kids that you introduced me to died.
Man, you got me got the goosebumps again, because I was having this conversation a couple of weeks ago, and we're talking how it's a shame that one of the side effects of being in this industry is death if you're young.
Yeah.
There's so many people that were taken off this earth way before they should have been.
Yeah.
People that we've worked with, people that we saw start to grow into blow in the industry, and then they were just snuffed out.
Yeah. So I remember her saying that to me. She's like, that's the only thing I don't like about your business, you know, son. She's like, all those people, you introduced me to all those people. Because I mean, she talked about Aaliyah, like, how's that little girl doing? How's that little girl with the big face doing? And I'm like, yeah. So then she see the news. She's like, is that your girl? And I was just like, yeah, man. So that was something that, you know, I remember my mother mentioning, and I was just kind of like, wow, I have, you know, seen a lot of people go, you know.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, man, Big was the illest. I knew it from the break. You know what I mean? I knew it from just hearing him. I'll tell you this. I remember, so you talking about Casey. So I just saw Casey not too long ago, and she told this story. I forgot all about it. She said she got in the car one time. She's like, yo, what happened to the seat? Because the seat was pushed all the way back, and that joint had a huge dent in it. She's like, yo, who in the world was sitting in this car? You know how she told. And I was just like, and I said, oh man, it's this cat named Big. She was like, But he got the name right. But he literally put like a dent in the seat. Like you could see his imprint. But he would insist on riding with me so that his crew, Junior Mafia and them, could get the benefits of riding in the ground transpo that they had. So he was saying, I'll ride with Coop, just let everybody, put everybody in the van. So yeah, man, Big was hilarious. I remember one time he was writing, I mean, all this stuff is real. I don't know, he was just sitting there just writing. I thought he was writing a verse. So I said, yo, I'm looking, but I kind of just looked and I saw just names. So I was like, is that a guest list or something? He says, nah, cool, just trying to keep track of all my hoes. Great face. And I said, man, get out of here. Cause I mean, it was a notebook sheet of paper and it had like 3 columns. I was like, man, get out of here. Yeah, it was real. It was, matter of fact, I'm trying to think who was in TAC might remember this. Cause I think this is when Benny was working at Arista. But like, there was this incident. It's sort of in one, I think it's in the Notorious movie, but it happened in Norfolk. They had the hotel and Faith
oh no, that was
came through unannounced.
That was Richmond at the Holiday Inn.
Yeah, came through. I knew it was Virginia. Came through unannounced.
That was the night we had it was the flood zone. It was big.
Yeah.
Yep. It was big. It was Keith Murray, Rampage.
Yep. Keith Murray the first helped me. That was the first time I got maced was with Keith Murray. Shout out to Juliet for giving me the opportunity to work with Keith Murray.
Did they mention in the movie that it was in Virginia, Richmond, Virginia?
I can't remember, but I knew it was. When I saw it happen, I was like, "Oh, that happened."
That's the problem that I'm having. they don't give Virginia enough props of what we did.
Yeah, we did some
breaking hip hop.
Oh yeah, Virginia broke hip-hop.
You know, they always, oh yeah, down there in Virginia.
Yeah,
but they don't specify places.
Right.
Yeah, right. I mean, Luke mad because the South was left out of the 50th anniversary.
Well,
so
Florida was left out.
Yeah, Florida was left out. Yeah. What did I say?
The South.
The South. Florida was left out. Yeah.
But it's crazy because when we think about this thing we call hip hop, and like you said, Kuti, how do you as we go back and talk about some of the greatest artists that's ever graced the mic in the culture of hip hop, and you had your finger, your imprint on it.
Yeah, man.
Everybody in the music industry remembers the Big Mac. Now, if you're not in the industry, you don't know what the Big Mac is. Yeah. But everybody in the industry knew what the Big Mac was. It was probably the most, in terms of genius.
It was when it came down to marketing and street level promotion, man, Puff was untouchable.
Puff put the stank on that one.
Untouchable.
I'm
so mad. I have the cassette somewhere. I'm so mad. Yeah.
Talk about Big Mac.
So Big Mac, man. So we had this promo campaign where we had the sampler, and Craig Mack and Biggie were the first 2 acts off of Bad Boy. And so the sampler, if anybody has the sampler, there's actually like, I want to say a different version of
it's Juicy.
Everyday Struggle.
Everyday Struggle.
The one that like, because it had like the it was a DeBarge sample, but they couldn't clear it, so they had to like change it to something else. So,
I don't want to live no more.
Yeah.
I'm fucking at my front door.
Oh no, I'm sorry. It's either that or the original One More Chance.
Okay.
So anyway, but it was one side of the cassette tape. The sampler had like a couple cuts from Craig Mack's album. The other side had Biggie, and it was it was packaged in a sandwich box. Because back in the day, McDonald's would serve you your sandwich in these boxes, and so the box said Big Mac, play on words, Big Mac like the sandwich, but it was B-I-G and M-A-C-K, Biggie and Craig Mack. And then we had like House of Hits, and we had like a whole get up with like we were in a restaurant, and the menu had all the hits on there, man.
That was one of the sickest emotions. We were like, yo, good. This is good.
It was a great era, man. It was a great era. And those, like I said, those records still rock now. Those records still rock now.
Shout out to my man Chris Childs for checking in. Thank you, my brother. He from the Detroit. So I get a
what up though?
He down here in the A, but what up though? Man, so let's get back to talking about now you're not only now. Listen. I'll get to that in a little later. We did talk. We did talk about the fact that you ran with Outkast.
Outkast, and that's Egypt Sherrod. She's like big time TV, HGTV, superstar, real estate realtor, superior out there with her husband making TV shows every other month. Man, that girl's doing great
for us for a little while.
My man Jim Payne in the back, Champagne Jim Payne. That's my pop counterpart, my brother from another mother, man. That's my dude. I think that was Egypt's birthday, actually, and we came through. And then Angie from BMG actually made that hat that's on Andre's head. So that's how close knit we were, man. No pun intended, but it's like, Ray would just, she crocheted that for him, and he's like, all right, cool, I'll rock it, and just rocked it. So shout out to Big Boy. You seen Big Boy's new Cadillac commercial?
No.
Oh, you guys see, it's for the new electric SUV they got. It's dope. I
gotta check it out.
That's Outkast, Stankonia era. Matter of fact, that was the night that I got the note saying that Prince wanted to catch up with us. So here's the quick story there. So Outkast, biggest group in the world at that time. Stankonia's killing them. Miss Jackson's the biggest hit, ever, and we're rocking. We did a tour with the whole Dungeon family. So it was Outkast, Goody Mob, Slim Cutter Calhoun was in that picture right there. Joy, 5 Deuce 4 Trey. What's his name? Like 5 Deuce 4. Mac Bone or something like that. But this dude, he did 5 Deuce 4 Trey. It was just a bunch of us, right? 3 tour buses worth. So Dre had his own bus. Big Boy had his own bus because Dre stopped smoking and Big Boy didn't, and everybody else was on the last tour bus. So I got to manage 3 tour buses with the help of Big Jim, right? We're on the Stankonia tour, album of the year, and Prince is playing at the Patriot Center, which is a DC venue, but really more so in Northern Virginia, deep Northern Virginia. So we get a note saying that at our in-store that Prince wants us to come to this after party, and so I'm really excited trying to make it happen. If you thought Dre was nonchalant when he was in LA, Dre was just like, bro, and mind, I get this word in the middle of the day, so I'm trying to plant the seeds, but like Dre's kind of like, I'm tired, been on tour. He was kind of over it, to be honest, just touring and all that stuff. So he's like, I don't know. Big Boy's kind of like, we'll see. And I'm like, we'll see. So I start planting the seed in everybody else's ears. So I go to CeeLo. Yo, man, Prince want to hang out tonight. He's in town. Oh, word. I go to Timo. I go to Big Gip. I go to Joy. I'm like, I get them all excited. So finally, it kind of sounds like, everybody's buzzing about wanting to see Prince. So I'm like, this is going to be amazing. Like, I got this whole mosse of Atlanta's finest, led by Outkast and Goody Mob. And I'm going to have them at the Prince party. Like, we going to kill this. So I'm like excited, right? And so we start to go. So I get one tour bus ready. They're taking their time, but we did perform. So I mean, I have to give them. Actually, I got that backwards. We were the ones in Virginia at the Patriot Center. Prince was in DC. And so we come back because I remember it was a long trip back. So then we get back, get everybody tidy up. Let's get real quick. We'll go to this club. So we go to the club. I convinced them. We go to the club. We get there. Of course, Prince isn't there, but everybody else is. So in the VIP section was kind of big. A lot of BT. BT was heavy there. I don't know if Greg was there or not, but I remember Gloria Nodden was there. And so shout out to Glow. Yeah, shout out to Glow. And then like Serena Williams, she was there. Somebody else who maybe had done video soul that night was there. So a couple people were there. I remember Serena vividly because I had never met her before. But when we pull up, we're basically the biggest stars in the building because Outkast is hot like right now, and it's Outkast, Goody Mob. So when we pull up, everybody's kind of looking at us, but they are not there to be ogled at. They're there to meet Prince. So we're kind of sitting there, and like I told you what happened in Philly. We sitting there, and it's like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. And mind you, we on tour, so we got another date to do. We got to roll in the morning. It's like 12:30, and at 1 o'clock, Big Boy steps in and goes, "Hey, look, man, if Prince wanted," he said, "Hey, Kuti, where's the strip club? Prince want to see me. You gonna see me in the strip club?" And just walks out. Now, if he walks out, we only got one bus. If he walks, and at first I was gonna be like, bye. But I couldn't do that, right? So Big's like, I'm out. Prince want to see us. He got to see us at the strip club. We gone. And so everybody just gets on. I'm like, no, he might come in any minute. I don't know, But they left. So he's like, where's the strip club? So I take him to the penthouse on Georgia Avenue. And so I got the whole Dungeon family in house eating chicken wings. I'm mad. I'm hot as fish grease, man. But we left the party. We never met Prince. And I remember thinking, man, that was a blown opportunity. So full circle when I'm with Dre a couple years later and we're at the Sky Bar in Mondrian, that was like I'm not letting this. When Dre was being all nonchalant, I was like, you're not gonna do this to me twice. I was like, so. Right. But yeah, so that was the first Prince story, but it didn't really happen. So we ended up kind of being the juice in the club until we left because Prince hadn't gotten there yet, and Outkast was like on fire at the time, and we were on tour.
Yeah, man. So let's talk about, we're still talking a little bit of hip hop.
Okay.
And I guess where it happened, where Luke said he was a little upset because the South, well, Florida didn't get represented.
Mm-hmm.
The gentleman that I'm about to put on here now, is arguably one of the biggest selling artists, hip hop artists ever, but because he wasn't so hardcore, he was more pop. He don't get his propers.
Ha!
Don't hurt him, Hammer. Don't hurt him, Hammer. And where the hell you get the kilt from, dude?
So I was born in Glasgow, Scotland.
No, I thought you were. So hold on, you're from the motherland, right?
So yeah, so technically yes. So my father's Nigerian. My father's the Kuti,
right?
The Fela Kuti, that whole nine. Like that's music royalties. In our lineage. My dad used to babysit him, as a matter of fact. So, and my mother's of Nigerian descent too, but Nigeria used to be a British colony up until like the 60s. And so there's a lot of like Nigerians in England, and a lot of my mother's family is over there. So she was in nursing school in Glasgow. I was born in Glasgow, then we moved to London.
So you literally...
I came to the United States with a British accent. I came to the United States with a British accent.
Really?
Yes, I lost it when I was like 7.
Okay.
Whatever accent you have when you're 12, that's the accent you're going to have.
Okay.
So that kilt I got in Scotland because I was born in Scotland. That's like legit kilt.
So is that you? So is that your citizenship? Were you a citizen?
I'm British. So I'm a British citizen. I became a U.S. citizen in 2001, like right around 9/11.
Really? So the whole time we've been hanging,
time you knew me,
I
was British, bro. I was British the whole time.
I was British the whole time.
I just came back from London. I was in London like a week and a half.
I know, because you hit me up and you was like, "Yeah, I got my."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you hit me right before
right now.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I was visiting family. Yeah. That's the
so. So let's talk about Hammer, man.
Yeah. Oh, so that night was Obama's inauguration party.
Oh, really?
So I'm like, you know what? If I'm gonna rock this kilt in the States, I'm rocking it at this joint.
At the Obama party.
I pull up to the Obama inaugural party with the kilt on, and there were 2 other cats in there with kilts. Some Irish cat, old Irish cat, and this young dude who had also visited England, actually visited the same part of Scotland that I did.
Wasn't any black people with a kilt on?
I was the only.
You kilted?
Oh, yep, kilted. And let me tell you, this is how dope. I'm getting goosebumps off of this. This is how dope that moment was. Because think about when you wear your best suit, and I've seen y'all both dress up. When you know how it feels, you just got your best suit on, that tailored suit that just handmade for you, right? The confidence that it gives you.
Right.
Yeah.
Multiply that by 100 when you're wearing a kilt. So I walk in with that joint, and everybody, if I had $5 for everybody to stop me, it was just kind of like, yo, blah, 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 blah. And like I said, when the Irish cats saw me, because there's a proper way to wear a kilt. It's not just the skirt. You know what I mean?
Right.
So when cats are just rocking the skirt, they just trying to make a fashion statement or, young thug it. But like when you know what you're doing, there's stuff you do with your socks. There's a pouch. There's this whole thing. There's a pin. So when this cat saw, he's like, you got the flashes and the tassels. He's like, yo, come over here. He's like, this is official. And I was like, yeah, I got it. Like I got it made in Scotland. So we talking. Boris Kojo walks up on me. He said, bruh, he said, man, I seen you like moving around the whole night. I just got to come over here and shake your hand, dude. He said, because I could never pull that off, man. You're a hell of a man. Boris Kojo said that to me in front of, my lady and everything else. I was like, oh.
Yeah, Boris kind of tall, though. You know what I mean?
6'3",
he about 6'5".
Yeah, but he came down to me. He came down to me like, yo.
but Boris, but Kuti, but Boris at that height, could he pull it off?
He could.
He could.
You get him made custom. So you know.
Okay.
So he came down to your size, baby.
He came to me. He came to me. So once Boris Kojo came to me, I was lit. I was like, yo, I don't even care if I see Obama. So, and then next thing you know, Hammer sees me and I see Hammer. I'm like, yo, that's MC Hammer. And he's like, but he was coming to me. Again, he was just like, yo, whoever, so that's what he's saying right there. He's like, yo, whoever this dude is, I need to take a picture with him. And he just starts, and so then everybody started taking pictures of us. And that's where that picture came from.
So let's talk about him. What are your thoughts on Hammer in the 50 years of hip hop? Where's his place?
So here's the funny thing about Hammer. If you think about everything, y'all were there. If you think about everything that Hammer got clowned or dissed for,
right?
It is exactly what people in hip hop now go straight for. He was endorsing KFC, sodas. He had a cartoon, action figure, all going multi-platinum, stadiums, everything that he was doing that everybody back then was just like, man, he's selling out. If you haven't done that stuff now in hip hop, you're not considered made.
Right.
So he broke that mold and he took that on the chin for everybody.
Yeah, because I mean, I dug Hammer, you know, I mean, because I think there was room for everybody. It was room for Miami bass. It was room for what Hammer did. It was room for the West Coast. It was room for the East Coast. It was room for the South. Wherever I want, I just pop the CD in. If I want to hear Lil Redman, you know, I get that.
You didn't even think about what culture this came from.
It was hot.
Up until you know,
until the beef happened.
Until the Bad Boy Death Row thing happened. You didn't think about it. Like,
but come on, man, you got to keep it real. We didn't respect his MC rap game. That's what we didn't respect. Yeah. You know, he couldn't kick bars. You know, so that's where the hate came from.
Right,
and then he was getting
the hip hop aesthetic. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
You know, if he came out doing that, say in '82, when it was like Melly Mel and everybody was dressed like punk rockers. It might have worked. Or even up to like the Houdini era, you know what I mean? Where you know,
but most of the jealousy came from the fact that he was getting so much airplay.
He was getting crazy airplay,
and he crossed over, and he was doing stadiums.
Yes,
you know, so that's where the jealousy and envy came from, and the majority of it came from up top, came from New York.
And Cass was like, I can rap better than him, so. Right. You know, why is he getting this run?
Can't dance in parachute pants better than he could.
No, they couldn't do that. they couldn't do that. No, none whatsoever.
You had the pumps in the bump joint, and you had the pumps in the bump with the zebra thong. I was like, what are we doing? Lord have mercy.
Hey, but look, I was at a Hammer concert, and I remember they said that after the Richmond Coliseum, they had to check for structural damage because that thing was so loud.
That's the loudest concert I've ever been to in my life. That and Rage Against the Machine. He had speakers stacked on top of speakers, stacked on top of speakers, stacked on top of speakers. That was the loudest concert I had ever. He was opening, if I'm not mistaken, for Boyz II Men.
The concert you're talking about, E, was that the In Vogue concert?
That's the In Vogue concert.
The In Vogue concert. I think In Vogue probably opened. I mean,
hip hop was opening for R&B back then.
Say it again.
Hip hop was opening.
No, not for Hammer's tour. Not for Hammer. This is Too Legit. The Too Legit.
Oh, that's Too Legit. See, I'm thinking back when like Can't Touch This out.
Are you talking about?
Don't Hurt Him.
Don't Hurt Him, Hammer.
Yeah, so that was before.
All odds against me. Yeah, so I think Hammer has his place in
he has his place, man, because what he got knocked for was like Lorenzo said, he wasn't a rapper per se, he's more an entertainer. But he was an entertainer. And
they said he wasn't hood enough, but from what I know,
no,
Hammer was his whole family was real hood.
His brother, man.
Yeah, I hung out with his brother.
Yeah, and think about it like this: when he's doing Pumps in the Bump, he was rocking with Suge and them.
Yeah,
and there ain't no stories about him hanging out Suge hanging him out the window.
No, because his brothers was no joke. His brothers were no joke.
No sir.
So
there's some story out there where he pulled up on some other rapper out
MC
there on the
Search.
West Coast. Okay, glad you said
MC
that.
Search. I used to work with Search. I used to work with Search too.
I've heard Search tell that story.
Search. I think the best storytellers in hip hop gotta be Fat Joe and MC Search, man. Those two cats tell us.
Have you seen the new one with Search talking about Jay-Z and gosh, what was he saying? Oh, he's talking about the whole Nas and Searchlight Publishing. Yeah. He says Jay made it sound like Nas is paying him, but really Jay is paying Nas.
I don't think that's what he was saying. I think that.
What do you think?
So what Search? God bless. You know,
I worked. Search was in there, dude. Hey,
we all know Search. We all know Search.
My man.
We all know.
But what I'm saying is,
working at the radio station. He was working at the radio station that you're on, Lorenzo.
Yeah, I know.
Down at Star.
I know. I mean, we all know Search. Yeah.
So Search, you know, one thing, Search has his fingerprints on a lot of stuff in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and he was a smart dude. So he's an enterprising dude. So he, you know,
third base.
What I think Jay was always acknowledging was that, you know, he's like, I'm not paying you, I'm paying the publisher. Like, no, you like, you know, like you don't have one up on me because I used that line. I went to the pub. I paid Searchlight Publishing.
Yeah.
But Search is a Nas guy because he was part of Nas getting signed. So you know, when you start, so that's the whole thing.
Okay, yeah.
So when you're on Nas's side,
you're leaning.
Be like Ether was better than Takeover. You're gonna be like, you know, so it's a funny thing.
He riding for his boy.
He riding for his boy, as he should.
As he should, exactly.
As he should.
All right, we're gonna still continue to go down this memory lane. Let's talk about this.
Man, mint condition, man.
Who's the young fellow over there? To the
right? that would be me. Turn to that angle. See that angle? Man. Yeah,
man. So we, like I said, we go back like car seats, man. So it's my brother from another mother, Stokely, and shout out to Odell. And
you have Perspective at that time?
A&M. So what happened was Perspective
Yeah.
started to fold. When I got to A&M, we were part of the team that was rebranding the urban department, because they had actually cut back their Black music department completely. They didn't have one, but Jimmy and Terry had Perspective, and you couldn't just do that to Jimmy and Terry. So what happened was I came in with the team, and I was like, and they let me pick, like, okay, what groups you think are still viable to pull off a Perspective? I was like, definitely pull Mint Condition, definitely pull Sounds of Blackness, and Nesby from Sounds of Blackness. Shout out to Auntie Ann and her husband Tim. And Nesby was about to do a solo record, and in her voice, I heard a combo of Aretha Franklin and Patti LaBelle, and I was just like, you know what, she can make noise, so pulled them three. And I'm trying to think if there was anybody else.
You left Solo.
Oh, Solo got signed. Solo got signed by Jimmy and Terry.
Okay.
And after my squad left and the new A&M team came, and Stephanie Lopez, who I mentioned before with the whole Prince story, I think she was part of that squad.
Okay.
They worked solo. I didn't work solo.
Okay.
So we was on road Mint Condition. And one of the beauties of my career was there were artists that just 2-3 years prior, I was in high school or college listening to on my own and loving on my own. And then all of a sudden I got an opportunity to actually work with these people, and not only work with these people, but be a part of the machine, be a part of the campaign, be a part of the creative input that helped them have their peak success. So Mint Condition's biggest single and biggest album was that one, Definition of a Band, What Kind of Man Would I Be?
Mm-hmm.
Platinum single, gold album. When I worked with Mobb Deep had gone gold, had gone strong gold, like 750, 800,000 with the second album, Hell on Earth. And when I got to Loud, it was kind of like, I'm coming from the Bad Boy era where we were getting things on the radio. I remember talking to Steve Rifkin, who I'm still cool with. Shout out to Steve Rifkin, one of my favorite bosses. And I remember talking to Steve and just saying, hey man, like, Steve was really dope because he cared about the streets. Period.
Right.
Like, he treated mix show jocks like they were program directors.
That's right. Yeah.
He could give a damn about a program director.
Yep.
Now, from the cloth I was cut from, you cared everything about the program director. You did not want to piss the program director off. So where that became a cool little juxtaposition was, UVA word. What happened is, I'm walking into these radio stations armed with the relationships and the know-how from working labels like Bad Boy and seeing how we can flip things that's hip hop, but get it played on the radio. But at the same time, my boss could care less if I pissed off fill in the blank PD. I'm not saying I was going around pissing these people off, but when the person at the very top of the food chain, their first priority is not appease the program director, but appease the street guy.
Right.
It gives you a lot of leverage, because what happens is if a PD gets mad at you as a regional or a national, then they'll just call your boss.
Right.
I'm just not gonna talk to Kuti no more. I'm just gonna talk to Boom. But when I was at Loud, he was like, I don't know what you're talking to me for. Like Kuti, they might even take the call. He's like, man, I don't even know what that is. Boom, does Funk Flex have the record? Does Kobe Cole have the record?
Right.
Does Heart Attack have the record? Does Boom Boom? So when we had dinners, I'm treating all the mix show people. So that actually helped me, because it made me part of the fabric of the street level people too. But then I'm coming in like, okay. So when I'm talking to Steve, I'm like, we get the Big Pun album. That's one of my favorite plaques. That one right
there in the corner.
First Latin to go platinum. He went double platinum. With him, I saw, man, this dude, we just do the Biggie model on him, out of there. Now, when we got the album at first, he's just kind of like, well, I mean, Steve was like, nah, this record goes gold, because Steve was good at working margins. He learned from his father, Jules, legendary, Jules Rifkin, God bless the dead. He learned from his father about just the numbers game, right? So he's like, okay, look, we spend this much on the record and it sells this much, we're good. So for him, he's like, if you think about it, up until the era when I worked at Loud, and I'm not taking all the credit, but just to stamp it, up until the era when I worked at Loud, everything on Loud was it was all street records. But they were street, but what attracted Loud to me at that time was that every one of these records you knew. Like back then, you didn't know records by heart if they weren't on the radio.
Right.
And I remember vividly, the only records that you could go in the club and know word for word that didn't have radio play were records by Wu-Tang. Mobb Deep Shook One.
Yeah.
Akinelli, Put It in Your Mouth.
Put it in your mouth. Yep.
Put it in your mouth. Those are the only records you could play, and everybody just knew these records. So I'm saying, yo, dude, everybody knows.
Or maybe Nas's first verse on Live at the Barbecue.
But did they play that like in the club?
I don't know, but we still knew it.
Okay, fair enough. I'm talking like being in the club where you just the
streets knew that.
Yeah, being in the club and the masses are in there and the record runs. It had to be something that was getting played on the radio. So I'm talking to Steve. I'm like, yo, man, if we get these records on the radio, all these 500 and 800,000 units sold are going to be like 1 million, 1.5. And I'm talking cash, because at this point, I'm at the peak of my promo superpowers, and he didn't know me, really. You know what I mean? So it's funny, because even Gio Bibbins, who brought me on.
Gio! We gotta get Gio on the show.
Yeah, I knew Gio like from conventions and stuff.
Right.
But he didn't know me by name. So we'd see each other all the time, dap each other up, hang out, drink or whatever. But it was just kind of like, when it came down to it, like, so I get the phone call like, hey, I'm new VP at Loud. I'm supposed to come down there and meet somebody, meet this Kuti cat, and interview him. So I'm gonna come down. I don't really want to hang out, so I'm gonna come down, meet you he said, where are you gonna be? I said, I'm gonna be at the radio station, KYS at the time. We'll be at KYS. Okay, I'll meet you there because I gotta stop by there anyway. We'll talk there, and I'm just gonna hit the train and go back. So he's talking to me like he doesn't know who I am. And I knew who he was, but I didn't realize he didn't know me by name. So he's just talking to me. So I'm like, okay, cool. So we're walking, and we cross each other in the hall. And I was like, Gio. And he's just like, hey, what's up, man? He hugs me up. He's like, what's up, man? What you doing here, man? I said, I'm working here, man. I said, you supposed to, because I was working for a different label at the time. I said, you supposed to talk to me. He's just like, nah, I gotta talk to this dude Kuti, and I'll be right back. I said, that's me.
That's me, dude.
He's like, you're Kuti? And I said, yeah. He's like, oh, he just said, then I'm gone. Tired. Like he was like, screw it. He said, you're Kuti? Oh, I can still get back to New York before 8 o'clock. So
that's
working
funny.
working at Loud, just taking stuff to radio, it just impacted record sales left and right. And with Pun, you know, we had the remix to Still Not a Player. If you remember, I'm Not a Player, I Just Crushed a Lot was the original record with the OJ.
That was the OJ's record.
Yeah.
Then it came back with Joe.
Yeah. And then we came out with the remix. But again, that remix, if you think about it, same thing like you took like One More Chance on Ready to Die. It's a very different record, completely different record than the One More Chance that hit. So taking that model, and then that went to radio, and that thing called Lighter Fluid. And I personally took Pun myself. I said, give me Pun for 31 days. They're like, yo, man, I'm gonna warn you, like, you know, this you gotta cruise, Terror Squad.
Terror Squad.
And before I got there, I had gotten word that one of my friends who used to work at RCA, which was the parent label for Loud at the time, he had gotten like lumped up by like Wu-Tang, you know what I mean? Like they whooped him, you know what I mean? And like, and that's not even a joke. Like, you know, he was put in bad shape. So I remember thinking, okay, it's Terror Squad situation. So I said, okay, we'll start. So I said, you know what, we're gonna start in DC because DC is home.
Right.
So I had cats on like speed dial, like, hey, yo.
If I throw my hand up,
if I throw my black hat up, if I Bobby Smurder, it's on. And so, and sure enough, at first, Pun's his road manager, Flex, tried, you know, he tried me. And I didn't back down.
Right.
And I think I didn't back down. So I was like, okay, look, if this, I didn't have time to send the bat signal out, but I was like, I will send it as soon as, because I know where y'all are. But I was just kind of like, boom. And I think just the fact, you know, sometimes when a dog barks and don't see you move, when I didn't move, he was just like, okay. And then Pun saw that, and then Pun immediately was just like, yo, you know, then he Flex be tripping sometimes, don't worry about him. And Joe was there too. So I got like Joe and Pun's respect, and I think quietly got Flex's too. And then from that point forward, it was just me and Terror. 31 straight days, I'm taking this dude to, I mean, one day we did DC, Greensboro, and Atlanta all in the same day.
Wow.
Airport to airport. And, you know, Pun was a big dude.
Right.
So we, you know, you ain't hustling from gate to gate in Dulles. So we walk in, Pun keeps stopping. I'm like, yo, we got to catch this flight. I said, look, so I said, yo, Pun, you got to respect me on this one. Because I'm not trying to clown you at all, but we got to catch this flight. We're at gate 5. We got to get to gate 35 to make our connection. I'm going to get one of them luggage carts.
Yeah.
Right on this joint, and we going to go. And I said, but tell your boys first, don't, because I want them thinking I'm like playing you. He said, all right. So he told Vic, this dude named Vic. He told Vic, Cuban Link. He's like, hey, yo, man, we got to go. He said, all right, cool. And we just had fun with it. We just started running. So I got this guy on a luggage cart. That was work, bro. It was work.
On a luggage cart.
On a luggage cart, and I was doing it by myself. Wasn't nobody helping me. It was like, it's your idea, cool. You got it. So got him to the gate. We made every flight. To his credit, he did everything I asked of him. He worked his behind off, man. And we broke that record. We broke that Still Not a Player record. And the rest was history, man. The rest was literally history. You know, first Latin to go platinum, we went double.
Speaking of iconic artists.
Hey, Andy. Wow.
Yes.
It's so ironic to see where he is now, because when he came out, he was so dope, and you were just trying to figure out what lane did he go in.
Yeah.
You're trying to figure out how. I was like, yo, where are we gonna put him? It's like, can we play him on the radio? Nah, radio's not gonna play him. But like, yo, but his stuff is so dope. Where's he gonna fit in? You know what I mean? And I'm just so glad what has happened for him and teaming up with Bruno Mars, and it's over. Now he can do whatever.
I didn't even know.
I remember seeing him at the BET Awards.
Right.
And I forgot what they used to call it. They would let artists open up on the side of the stage, and they'd let them play for like about 45 seconds on TV or an hour or a minute and a half.
Outside.
Yeah. No. It was inside. It was inside.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. It was BET Futures, and they were just, and you go like the commercial bump.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was. And I remember seeing him play. And I said, yo, that kid is dope, because where they had us set up there, we were in the front, but we were to the left, we were close to that stage. and we would see all the artists come through. And I remember seeing him perform on that
Holding
stage,
down
and I was
church
like,
drums while rhyming and singing.
yes, yes,
man.
yes.
Let me tell you something. I know Pac since he was Breezy Lovejoy and had dreads.
Breezy what? Breezy Lovejoy.
Breezy Lovejoy. He was a neo soul artist. Breezy Lovejoy, and he had dreads.
That's crazy.
Pac is road tested. Pac is, you know, I told him this right here. The reason he's hugging me like that, I told him this right here. I said, man, you know, when Prince died, I was like, that's the last dude I'm gonna be a fan of. Like, I can't, you know, I was like, I'll never be that heavy of a fan of any other artist. And he was just like, yeah, I get it. And I was like, then you came out.
Wow.
Deep, bro. That's deep. That's deep.
That's a cosign. That's official.
Yeah, that's official, baby.
He'll never forget that, Kuti.
And I'll tell you, when I remember literally, it was almost serendipitous. Just about a month before.
You said serendipitous. That was
UVA word. UVA, come on. I'm verbal sick. Maybe about a month before Leave the Door Open came out, I was just thinking to myself, because I'm a Bruno Mars fan. And
right.
And I was just like, the way, and they toured in Europe when Bruno Mars had like Locked Out of Heaven out, and Pac had Malibu, his last like independent album, which is phenomenal. If you don't know that album, go find that album. Malibu is a freaking classic. I mean, this is before he was signed to anybody. The fact that anybody could put an album together that incredible as an indie artist, there you go. There you go.
Woo! I use that as a music bed.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I remember playing it for Donnie, like, yo, Donnie Simpson. I was like, yo, you gotta hear this album. This new energy. Because I mean, I'm seeing him play like rooms of 50, rooms of 100. You know what I'm saying? Rooms of 150. And I said, yo, Donnie, remember Prince, like when like Dirty Mind came out? It was like, yeah, like you could just see all of the sauce, but you know, he hadn't really nailed it yet. I said, yeah, this is when Malibu was out. I said, I said, yo, here's a copy. Here's my copy of Malibu. I'll get another one, man. You need to hear this album. That was one of me and Donnie's last like real just heart-to-heart conversation. And I wasn't even working the record. I was just in the station. Because I was managing this kid named IDK.
Right.
And while I was managing IDK, they were both like indie artists, you know, kind of trying to get on the double XL freshman class, you know, all that kind of stuff. So we were all sort of like moving around at the same time. So there'd be festivals where I'd see, and that's how I saw Breezy Lovejoy turn Anderson .Paak, the whole nine. That's how I saw that happen. So that's how I was hip to him so early. So anyway, yeah, so I said, there's no way that with the work ethic that Pac has and the way I know Bruno's a real cat, because even though he's broke pop, if you really go to the essence of Bruno Mars, he's an artist, and he's a guy that's been doing it since he was a kid. He's a perfectionist. I was like, there's no way those two have not collaborated.
Right.
So I start just searching the net for it, and I see this little snippet of some footage of them at Abbey Road Studios in London. And I'm like, okay, there's no way these dudes were in a studio in London and there's nothing to show for it.
Right.
They were working on some Nile Rodgers Chic record or something, right?
Oh, okay. So,
yeah, just random. But again, see all that little meta stuff I just gave you, that's the way I always talk. That's how I got my gig at Ariston. So anyway, so I started looking. So I started combing through the credits of Pac's Oxnard album. And my favorite song on there, I looked at the credits and it had this something Hernandez is one of the co-writers. Hernandez is Bruno Mars's government name. So his credit on there was not Bruno Mars, it was his government name. And I said, I knew it. So I said, there's no way they can only have just one record. Right. And so I'm talking to my best friend about it, Reg. I'm just like, yo, this is crazy. Like, there's no way my two favorite artists, there's no way they have not recorded. And I'm talking like literally 2-3 weeks later, Leave the Door Open came. And and all I needed to hear was that Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak were in the studio. And I was like, I don't even need to hear the record. It's going to be the best thing you ever heard. I said it to everybody.
They've saved R&B. And
that record killed.
Yeah.
The single killed so hard. They pushed the album back, and the single still made them like the biggest winners at the Grammys and had them lined up to be the next biggest winners the next year. But it's like, you know what? We're going to pull out of consideration.
They did. They surely did.
We're tired of winning. So we're going to that was a power move. We could sweep the Grammys 2 years in a row with the same album. You know what? Y'all can have it.
Got to win it. Speaking of a very talented brother, That brother's got vocal cords.
Ham. So I'm gonna tell you how I met him. So while I was working at Loud, I was working with this incredible group that was way ahead of their time. Shout out to M1 and Stick, Florida MCs, Dead Prez.
Okay.
So Dead Prez was the hip hop record, and so they were way ahead of their time, man. But nonetheless, I'm working with them, and D'Angelo took a liking to them, and so D'Angelo wanted them to open for him on the Voodoo tour. So then I was on the Voodoo tour with them. D'Angelo had some background singers with him, and one was Shelby Johnson. There was another brother, I can't remember who he was, and the third was Anthony Hamilton.
Anthony Hamilton sung background for D'Angelo. Wow.
On the Voodoo tour. And we met there, and we just started, just kicking it there, just having a blast. The tour was amazing. D kept canceling dates left and right. So
yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, but we did Richmond.
I remember
the Landmark, right?
The Landmark.
We did the Landmark in Richmond, filmed the Send It On video there too.
I think old girl showed up at the show, Angie.
Yeah. So yeah. She probably she did.
Showed up. I remember.
She had baby Michael.
Yep,
yeah, baby Michael. So I was on tour on the D'Angelo tour, and he kept canceling dates. So eventually, I remember Gio called me like, "Man, Kuti, what you doing, man? Because I was with them. Like we went to Toronto, and he's like, "Man, he said, man, D only done like 2 days, man. Get your ass off the road, man." And so I had to come back home, but I did I did a couple of weeks on the road with those guys, and that's where me and Ant, formed a friendship, and it was great, man. He's an incredible singer. Man,
your homie.
All right. So Kenny Lattimore. Kenny Lattimore is from the DMV. Kenny Lattimore is
still doing it, bro. He's still doing it. I like that joint he got out right now.
Yep, and that's my man. Kenny went to Eleanor Roosevelt, went to the same high school.
Okay.
He was older than me, so I don't want to age him, but he was not in my class generation. But there was a mutual friend that we both had, this vocal coach, extraordinary vocal coach named Nick. And my man Nick, he's in LA still now. I mean, he's vocal coach for Usher. Like he's amazing. He was the singing dude when we was in high school. But he and Kenny were boys because they sang, and he was in between. He split the difference between the age of me and Kenny. So he was cool with Kenny. I was cool with him. So I was cool with Kenny that way. Right. And then I bumped into Kenny when I was on tour with Barry White, and Kenny was opening for him. And so that's when Kenny debuted as a solo artist, because he's in this group called Mannequin that was on Epic Records. They had like a half a hit, and then if you knew, you knew, kind of like Eric Roberson. Yeah, like, that's To the Moon joint. But so if you knew, you knew, but if you didn't, and then he got a solo deal, and so he's touring. He was opening for Barry. I was on the road with Barry White, legendary cat, and I mean, because with Barry, man, that puts you on a whole different level. And I was a shorty in the game. I was like 23, 24. I mean, I was a baby.
And what Barry's?
But Barry was like,
what do you know about the music, young brother?
Oh man, he was cool. I'll just let him spit game. We would just talk, man. And Barry would tell me so much. And then so many people wanted at Barry, because that was sort of a comeback out, that Practice What You Preach record.
Right.
And so when we did New York, man, I'm working the meet and greet in New York, right? Get this, I'm like 24, and I got like Martha Stewart, Donald Trump, Naomi Campbell, and I'm like, hold on, Naomi, wait. I'm one time in like Naomi Campbell.
So you telling the future president? Hold up, Playboy.
Wait, Playboy. I got you. Just relax. Bro, I'm turning around like, this is nuts. Like, I was like one time in like Superstars. I'm just like, yo, just chill. I got you. Just relax. I got you. Just being all professional. Come back, yo, Naomi want to see you. And he look up like, oh, is that right? Oh man, yeah, Barry was so cool, brother. He was so cool, man.
I was,
so Kenny, that's how me and Kenny reunited. We've been thick as thieves ever since. That's my man. Like that's family. And that was my sister in the middle, the superstar business manager. So,
the one that dwarfed Prince.
Yes, so look at her per scale.
Wow.
And when she walked behind Prince, I could not see the man. I could not see
And
him.
he had heels on.
He had heels on.
He had heels on that night.
And hair.
Hey, but if you put a basketball in his hand, he'd cross you over.
Oh yeah, he'd do that. He'll shoot that jumper was wet. The jumper was
Blouses.
Yeah, so Kenny Lattimore is my man. He's still doing it. I'm really happy for him now, though, because I feel like he's found a space where he really, has found his niche. Because the thing that really dogged his career, I think, was just that, even if you hear him tell, it just always felt like he was coming out at the wrong time. Like, he'd come out and then on the same label, they drop Maxwell. And, not no diss to, labels, right. Certain labels, they get that priority. Certain labels, that's the culture. They get that one priority. That's who it's going to be. And I think I can say this without feeling like I'm saying anything bad, but like the culture at Columbia Records for the longest time would be, okay, we got the artist, the heritage artist, that's just the cash cow. We're trying to break. And then if one of these new cats sticks on the wall, we'll do something with that too. Right. And once they get a lead dog that's running, like whether it was Destiny's Child, it's going to be Destiny's Child. If it was Beyonce, it's going to be Beyonce. If it was Maxwell, it's going to be Maxwell. So once they get that lead dog, you just get whatever is, you just get whatever's left on the table at the day.
Mariah gonna get hers because it might have been at the time her husband was the president. So
but Kuti, you don't think it had anything to do with? I mean, Kenny came out with that smash.
Yeah,
and it was
Never Too Busy was a legit record. Then he came with For You, which is also written by an Eleanor Roosevelt alumnus, and and For You was. It's still a wedding song.
Right. It's one of the biggest, wedding songs ever.
But I think that's why he felt like, dude, it's not like I'm coming with bricks. Like,
right. It's hard to top that.
Yeah. So why am I getting like Maxwell's leftover outfit for my video? I got records too. So,
Did getting married and have any roadblocks in
his? Did he lose his sexiness when girls felt as though that they couldn't marry him now?
Well, he wasn't married then, though. He didn't marry, like, Shantae was the first one. He didn't marry Shantae till down the line. And I was actually, by that time we had signed him at Arista, and so I did get a chance to work with him. Matter of fact, my sister and your girl Kay, I got them in the video, the weekend video. If you blink, you'll see them. So
okay.
I remember that, and I don't want to say too much because everybody's still alive and everything.
Still alive, yeah.
Right.
But I will say this. I remember, the church that everybody goes to out there. There's this one church, Faithful Central, where you'll go in there, and you'll see everybody. You know what I mean?
DC?
It's like it's in LA.
In LA, okay.
And so you'd see BBD would be up in there. Comedians, everybody's up there. So I remember me and Kenny was sitting there in church. And he looks and I look over and I saw Shantae. This is before they got married. And he's just like, yeah, man, think we start talking. And I said, boy, that woman gonna eat you alive, man. I was like, you better chill. And sure enough, it happened. And I was just like, wow. So what do I know?
Yeah, but what was crazy is Shantae performed a couple of weeks ago here, but the night before Kenny was in town, the very night before.
She's not married to Stephen Hill, right?
Yeah, Steve was with her. Yeah. Steve came in because I saw Kenny the night before at the amphitheater, and then the next night Shantae was there, and I wanted to say, who was here last night? Right now, I didn't say it, but
man, the industry, man, it's a tight knit, man.
Yeah.
I got all kinds of stories about paths like that crossing, and it is what it is, man.
And she's kind of attracted to different type of cats because she was also with Kadeem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Kadeem Hardison. So they kind of,
and those are the ones she married.
Right. So I mean, she has a taste, and that's what she likes. So Kenny did have a chance,
Yeah, but I didn't know at the time. I was like, man, I just saw her as like, that's Shantae Moore. I was like, bro, you bugging. You ain't pulling that.
She's a fan eater.
He did. I mean, and I remember 9/11. When 9/11 happened, they were in New York, and they were sort of stuck. And so I don't know what it was that got us talking. But he's like, man, I think we're going to drive or take a train down to DC, man. Is it cool if we just kind of crash somewhere? And I was at my mother's crib visiting my mother, and they came through. So I remember one of my boys came, and he's just like, yo, is that Shantae Moore in your house? Because he's Kenny. He's like, yo, where's Shantae Moore? Because it's like they were just dating, you know what I mean? He was like, yo. So next thing he's texting like some of my other boys. So also my boys just start pulling up to my mother's house. I was like, bro, what you doing? You know? He's like,
wow, Cody, what you doing, man? I just came by to say hello.
Like, Shantae Moore. He's like, yo, you got some milk, Miss Kuti? Like, it was hilarious. I was like, I started turning people away. Like, y'all gotta get out of here. Like, just no.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so that was really funny.
So Kuti, when's the book, man? When's the book coming?
Oh man, that's a really great question.
Because you got some great stories.
I do, and I didn't even tell half of them.
Right.
Loud Records in his own.
And all of these are cool. You know what I mean? That you've told, right?
Yes.
You know,
yeah, that's because it's not even about scandal, man. Like,
right.
You know, it was a really good time. And I'll say this, man. I'm saying this as a mouthpiece, but man, one of the prelim questions, if I may give people a glimpse behind the Oz curtain with you guys, y'all asked me about, you know, if I had any regrets. And, you know, I said, I don't do regrets. You know, I look back, I learned, or I use that as experience to fuel me going forward. But the one thing that I just think overall, I think is regretful is that there are so many. I mean, I try to shout as many people as I could as they came to mind, but there's so many promotion people who are the lifeblood or were the lifeblood, especially in these classic eras that are still carrying a lot of people's careers to this day. Mm-hmm. And these people go by unsung all the time. And so, and the only times they don't is if they maybe become a higher level executive, but at that point, they're not getting props for what they did. They're getting props for being this higher level executive. But there are promo people who are the foot soldiers, who are booking choppers at a moment's notice, who are, you know, pulling all kinds of maneuvers, you know, to make sure that the show goes on, that these artists, you know, get their shine and get their recognition, and, you know, pushing them through airports on luggage carts to make sure they catch their flights. And so I just want to give a shout out to, you know, my promo brethren and sisters. Y'all
I'm going to interrupt you because that's the premise of what we do.
And I love it. I love it, and I appreciate it.
It's the opportunity to talk to the people that were instrumental in the fuel that guided your favorite artist that you have never heard of. Right. And what I get from people from all the time is like, dude, I love checking out your show because I learned so much on the back end on how these things happen, because we've had conversations with people that, you know, Parrish Johnson said, you know what? P was like this. You do know Lauryn Hill almost didn't happen. So what do you mean you did?
Did he tell the story?
He told the story, but go ahead.
I know the story. So look, Lauryn Hill, just coming off the Fuji, the score. Lauryn Hill has a solo album. They wanted to work, oh God, what record was it? They wanted to work one of the R&B joints, you know, one of the X Factor or something like that. They wanted to lead with that, doo-wop or something like that. And that's, I think, when Michael Malden was still there, Jermaine Dupri's father. I think he was still head of like Black music. Parrish and them was over there, and they white labeled. For people that don't know, white labels like industry bootleg. A bootleg. So industry bootleg. So they white labeled. So they white labeled the vinyl, and they made, because I still got mine. They have they white label, they burned CD of Lost Ones and just gave it to the streets.
Right.
Gave it to the mixers. To this day, that's still the best rap song I've ever heard by a woman, just for the record.
Right.
And when Lost Ones came, and because as a promo team, we could tell people, yo, play this record, you know, because we were dictating the traffic more so.
Right.
Label to radio people. Now the traffic is dictated more by the public. You know what I mean? Like radio follows. It's kind of like, okay, what's trending? What's streaming? What's boom, 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 boom. Okay. But back then we would say, okay, here's the single. You didn't even have music until we gave it to you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they gave the Lost Ones singles. The Lost Ones singles caught fire. That's why, was there a video for Lost Ones? I'm trying to think. I don't remember a video.
I don't think so.
That's why there ain't no video for it, because it wasn't part of the marketing plan. They'd already moved forward, and then Lost One came, caught fire, and that set the whole thing off, because that brought her back. It was a smart move because it kept her hip hop, because she's coming from the Fugees.
Right. So
it gave her that bedrock of credibility with the rap community, and then you could branch off and be R&B from there. But if she just come in.
What was the next single after that, Kuti? You remember?
I think it was Doo-Wop, that thing.
Doo-Wop. The split screen.
Yeah.
On both. Yeah. We
Fact
played that. We played that a lot on Video Vibrations. I
that's
remember that.
crazy that she almost didn't happen. And
So it almost would have been just like a solo joint. Okay, cool. She's singing. All right, cool. Yeah. But they broke. It wasn't even. And again, I'm partial. I'm biased. I work for certain labels, so I'm team those labels all day long. Arista, Bad Boy, Loud. What I appreciated about those labels where we started with the music, we gave a lot of credence and credit to the music. We never thought that we knew more than the A&R people did.
Right.
And the people who even were executives had ears too. So if there was we trusted musical ears, we let the music lead. Some labels will say, you know what, we're the promo department. We're going to go this route. We think this is going to work because this is going to test well. And And they just do it. They just force these things. Right. And in that situation, because and Paris said it first, so I don't think I'm breaking any news or anything, but in that situation, the Black music department bucked against the pop department.
I heard.
And jumped out there. And of course, when it hit, everybody's like, yeah, Lauren. That's
what was going to happen.
Right.
And when he told me that money ain't a thing with Jay-Z and Jermaine, they were like, that almost didn't happen either because they wanted to lead it with the Mariah cut.
Exactly, because Mariah's the Columbia artist. Yeah. The Columbia. So that's what I'm saying. So you're saying what I'm saying, and you're saying I was being political about it. Like they mathematically will deduce how, okay, well, if Mariah's our artist and Jermaine Dupri's our artist, and that's the single that should go out there because Mariah's a star, whereas the hottest record was Money Ain't a Thing. The hottest artist was Jay-Z. And that's the record that would go. But thank goodness for, again, the Michael Mullins, the Paris Johnsons, the people that just just stood up, like those cats are legendary, man.
Do you remember any time where radio forced you to release a single first? You may have had something designed to be the first single, but radio or the mix show DJs jumped on this and be like, oh, we got to go with this now because radio got this bubbling, or this is popping in the clubs now, so we got to change gears.
Yeah, I've seen it happen. I've been fortunate in that it didn't happen to me. Mm-hmm. Usually, I've had a situation where it's like in-house we have a single, and then I would say, well, no, actually, everybody play this, and because I had good standing and good favor, and people trusted my ear. I'd come to Aaron, I'd go to KJ, I'd come to you. I say, hey, play this record. Street, what's up, Street? Go to Street, play this record. And they play it, and it wouldn't let them down because it's a good record. And then I'd get enough spins going to where I could say, okay, look, we've got a story here. We need to spread it.
Can you remember anything specific? Can you remember anything specific? Off the top?
A specific one.
I mean, we are going back a long time.
Outkast. Yeah, so Outkast, the first single off of Stankonia was Bombs Over Baghdad, which is an amazing record, but we didn't have the video first. If we had leveled the video and went straight to MTV, that was my recommendation. But they weren't listening to me, because they weren't listening to me for good reason. Everybody in their position at Arista was like the king of what they did or the queen of what they did. So I came in there talking like, hey, we should do this, that, and then. Like, look, my man, you handle the Mid-Atlantic.
That's what you do.
You are a DJ, you play records. They was like, look, man, I ain't hearing all that stuff. But I was like, nah, if we got a video, we should take the video because the video was so amazing. Now the beauty of it ends up becoming a cult record. So now that record still has legs and life. But what happened was we had that record, and that record, if you remember, that record is fast.
Yeah,
it was
very
in hip hop that was that fast. I'm bleeding to my mix show DJs, and they like, bruh, the only way I can play this record is I'm playing like Luke behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody else, and they weren't playing Luke on the radio. It's like, dude, this is like a Luke record, man. I can't. So he's like, I can't mix it. But because it was me, I'm like, yo, play it. So I got every station. I locked out my market on every station to add it first week. I got a pat on the back for that. But then because I had one thing that people don't realize, and especially at the major labels are very segregated. So Black music department and the pop music department, it's
right.
Like in-house, it could be just as lethal as like Hot 97 versus Power. You know what I mean? Like, and I was a cat that walked the line because I knew music and I love people. So any company I worked for, I either had a strong relationship with my pop department, my pop counterpart, or I was the pop guy. Like when I went to like TVT, I was like, look, y'all ain't hiring somebody else to do pop. I'm doing pop. And honestly, that was a little bit of a power move too, because there weren't a lot of black reps on the pop side.
Right. Because they don't
the money was different on the pop side. And the boys different on the pop side. And I saw that. And I was like, man, we breaking all the records over here. So I was like, nah, I got that. And I had the relationships. So that was one of my calling cards. When I went to Arista, the Jedi mind trick that they were playing, that they realized was that because I was cool with the pop stations and some urban stations were under the guise of crossover. So they played the same thing the urban stations played. Thank you. But they were called pop stations.
Yeah.
So I was one of the only people that could float between those two stations because I had the relationships on both sides. Usually you were kind of like, you were the urban rep, you were team, whatever, like Radio 1. And if you were the pop rep, you were team, Clear Channel. And I was like, nah, I know both of them. And I'm rocking with both of them. So I say that just to say that I'm talking to my pop rep. He was Jim. He was the guy that was in the picture with us and Outkast, the white gentleman. And I was like, and so he's playing. So I'm sitting there like really trying to figure out how to get, when I was setting up Bombs Over Baghdad, I'm trying to figure out how to get this record played. I'm sitting there just burning midnight oil. And then he comes back from his meeting. He's like, "Ooh, boy," he's Southern cat. "Ooh, buddy, oh, Kuti, man, you heard that new Outkast? Oh, that Outkast is fire. That's a smash." I said, "So you talking about Bombs Over Baghdad?" Because we hadn't had the album yet. I said, "Bombs Over Baghdad." I said, "Man, I said, I love him, man. This record is crazy." But I said, "This is a work record, dude." He said, "I don't know what record you talking about because we just played the Outkast. And it's a hit." He puts in his pop CD-ROM. And when the sampler of our priorities coming up, man, it got the Outkast and that sorry, Miss Jackson. Ooh, and I was just like, yo, I was like, this is the record they're giving y'all? He's like, yeah. I said, give me that joint.
Wow.
I burnt that joint up, sent it out.
Right.
Miss Jackson went to #1 in like 4 weeks.
Oh yeah, that was a good record, man.
And that's why Billboard voted them the #1 hip hop group of all time.
Yeah. I mean, that was the fastest moving record I ever experienced. That record just leapfrogged, just came in, bing, 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 one, and just stayed there. But we had been working Bombs Over Baghdad on the urban side, like knocking our head against the wall, bloody, because it was just such an eclectic record,
Yeah.
So And one of the challenges of working Outkast was that they never dropped 2 records in a row that sounded the same.
Right. They're very creative. Yeah, look.
Very creative. So it's almost like with Prince, where he would just change everything up every time. So it was always, no matter how successful we were the album before, the single before even, a lot of times, especially when you started getting up into that Northeast, Philly, New York, it was kind of like, every record, I had to prove my love. I had to prove my love every time I worked an Outkast record. And, internally, LA and Lionel, they like, bro, what are you talking about, man? They've been platinum every single album. Their last single just went #1. Who got to think about what about that record? I'm like, I hear you. But I mean, I tell you, it was not the first record that I gave, aside from Miss Jackson, that just they took, might have been The Whole World.
The Whole World.
And by the whole world, I was just like, and it wasn't even like, at that point, I was like, look, I'm not even asking you. We done gave you, So Fresh, So Clean. We done gave you, Miss Jackson. Like, I was like, look, man, you're playing this. Don't play yourself again. Don't be stupid again. Don't be late again. Right. And thankfully, they saw it my way.
Yeah. But they were late.
They were late.
They were late.
They were late. And that was Killer Mike's debut,
Okay.
The Whole World.
Like
so,
we said,
man.
One of what we wanted to do is to highlight those stories. So we've got a host of folks that have been on the show, and we got a host of folks to put on this show.
Mm-hmm.
And as we talk about, giving love to our peeps,
Ah, man.
had to go back and get the brothers on there.
That's my family.
So look, you the first of them. So I got to I want to get Dane and Danielle on at the same time. I want that family thing.
That's going to be an amazing show because they grew up.
I want to do Mo and Sharon Henderson. I want to do family joint.
You're giving me chills, man. But the Lots, that's my family. Like that's literally my family. Like man, you'll see. We rode thick as heat. Remember, he had the Legend too. Remember, he had the 4-door. I had the 2-door. Man, he was like Chico the Barge and Joe, man. No guarantee remix. Yeah, man. Damon, that's family. I love Damon a lot. I love Danielle a lot. I actually met Danielle first. That's a whole funny story. But
man, I met their father first.
Alan, their father.
I met Alan first.
Yeah, God bless the dead, man.
Yeah.
Alan, OG, and an amazing human being. I'm talking like Alan looked out for me at my lowest point in the music business in a way that I didn't even understand until some point, you know, we had a little heart to heart about it. He just said, man, I've seen the way you treat my family. You know what I mean? And I'm getting choked up.
That's fine, brother.
You know, Alan, I love him. I love if it got the lot name on it, yo, you gotta go through me to get to it, man. Those are my people. And then not the short Anton. That's my industry baby, bro.
Anton, we got to get him on the show. He can bring his little Hellcat.
Yeah.
Anton, I told you, bring your little Hellcat and see what this vet can do to you, bro. he be dogging me. Be like,
those my brothers, man.
You don't want to smoke.
Yeah, those are my brothers, man. You know, Anton actually was one of the people like I handpicked to replace me when I left Loud to go to Arista. You know, I made sure that he got hired because he deserved that leg up. At the time, he was working for Rockefeller. You know, from an independent standpoint, he had not had his. And I'm not saying it's to son him because I knew he deserved it, and so I wanted him to get his shot at being a regional. And so I made sure the door was open for him to get it. And this picture was actually taken at the Loud 25th anniversary concert at Radio City Music Hall, where we all it was like basically a reunion of sorts, both artists and executives, and you know, we all just kicked it out there. It was an amazing concert. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. Like Loud Records. We're Wu-Tang, we're Pun, we're Exhibit, we're the Beat Nuts, we're did I say Pun already? We're Mobb Deep, you know, we're Luke, we're the Alcoholics, you know,
man.
We're Luke Scott. We were killing, man.
Alcoholics.
We were.
That you, Lorenzo, with the bells?
No, unless something's coming through on.
Oh, it might be coming through on my end. That might be coming through on my end. You know, people think I'm supposed to be off now. So, but it's all good. But yeah, man, we were legendary, dude. Like, you know, we were legendary, and it was an honor to be a part of. It was an honor to be a part of just that whole crew, that whole family. I love being Loud alumni. I love being Bad Boy alumni. I love being Arista alumni.
What was the bell?
It's big. Oh, what's on somebody's?
What the hell is that bell, man?
I thought my joint was off, but yeah.
I don't know how it's coming through.
Yeah, so
that's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, it's me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's me. So forgive that. So but yeah, man, I love being an alumni, man. TVT alumni, being able to work with Pitbull on his first 4 albums. Look where he's a global.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
I worked with the Yin Yang Twins, Lil Jon. We that whole run. Chappelle Show and that whole thing, man. Like, we were killing. You know what I'm saying? So I've been a part of a lot of movements, man. A lot of movements, and I don't take it lightly. I don't take it for granted, man. It's been an honor. It's been an honor to just do that and then be able to take this knowledge. There was a comment that floated through that I really appreciated. Somebody said something about how they were learning. And that's the position that I find myself in now. I lecture at universities about the music business. I'll be lecturing at UMass in a couple of weeks. I lectured at UVA last year and a couple other places. But that's the direction that, I'm going in now. It's just, it's just teaching, it's teaching people. So
speaking of teaching, you know Fat Tommy, right?
Yes.
He is a professor at VCU teaching hip hop.
Wow. Isn't Skills over there too?
I don't know if Skills is teaching. I don't know if Skills. You know what? He said I talked to Skills. He says he's going to be on the show.
Yeah, Skills is a professor. Skills is a professor.
Okay, so yeah,
I believe it's at VCU. And tell him I said what's up when you talk to him. That.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna definitely do that because we had Tommy on the show, and he spilled the beans. It was fun.
Yeah, he spilled some beans.
Oh, he spilled some beans. Go back and watch it when you get a chance.
I will. I got to catch
truly, entertaining.
Okay, I got some catching up to see. I still got to be a little political because I still, break bread with these people, and some stories are sacred, and
right.
And I need some of these people to speak in my classes. So, so I'll let them out themselves.
He is now teaching a course at VCU, and he also just there's some of the stuff he's doing is so innovative for the students. Is ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I gotta check it out. Matter of fact, I would just like to talk to him anyway, because since I'm in this education piece too, I think it would be good to have just add to the network of us experience.
Professor, and I laughed my ass off because I tell him, I remember you came to the station trying to promote records with that Jerry curl and that red bandana on.
I mean, when you said it, all I could think of, I didn't want to say, I'll let you say it first. I was just like,
that's what you were thinking.
Respectfully.
Respectfully.
I was like, Jerry, money. All I could think was like, he's talking about money with the Jerry curl?
Yes. But he would laugh with, Tommy was, matter of fact, when we interviewed him, he was coming from the school because he had just finished lecturing the students.
Yeah, I got to connect with him. Matter of fact, offline we'll connect us on a 3-way text thread.
Yeah, before we shut down the place, you helped a lot of people become who they are, but at the same time, brother, you're a musician yourself.
Yeah.
Talk about your group and talk about this picture right here.
Okay, man. So when you asked me, it was like one of the most memorable times in my life, in my career. I've had a couple lives, Right. I've been an on-air personality, taken after the work that I saw you guys lay down when a fledgling operation called XM Radio was debuting. I had a show there. Shout out to Tracy Luttrell. Who hired me off of just hearing me talk. Again, I was talking business, just talking like records with somebody like Lenny Kravitz versus Prince or something. And she was in a booth behind me. She said, and she got the waiter to come over, and the waiter goes like, yo, whoever's in the booth next to you, said something about your voice, wants to come over. So she was just hearing me talk, like the sound of my voice and like what I was talking about. And I turned around, it was the first time I'd ever met her. And then she told me something about XM. I was like, all right, cool. And then I came through, did an air check, and boom, I was on. So shout out to Tracy Luttrell. Like I told you, I got in the game because, I was initially an artist, and me and my best friend never really let go of that dream. And after my run at Arista, I was a little bit burnt out, man. We were running hard. We had like a lot of records, and I was going to keep running till they were going to keep running. But then the Sony BMG merger happened. They pushed certain people out, kept certain people. Sony was sort of on the eating end of that thing. So Sony reps kind of took over a lot of our positioning, and they started merging labels on the BMG side. So short story long, I had a contract. And the interesting thing is, up until that point, I had never had a contract. And I liked having a contract because I could move whenever I wanted to and people wanted to hire me. But Arista just seemed like a situation that I wanted to be locked into. And L.A. Reid was his first stint as a CEO of a label, and I like the fact they had a black man running a major label, because that didn't happen. The only time I think I remember a minority of any sort being the head of a major was when Sylvia Rome was head of Elektra.
Mm-hmm.
So here was the first black man to run a major label, and I wanted to be a part of that. So and then the way the negotiations went was pretty funny. So it just ended up them having to lock me into a contract, and they paid me really well. So I'm grateful. But stuff was starting to fall apart, and they were starting to fire people who were legendary, like people who had been with the label forever. And when I started seeing people who were close to LA getting let go, just left and right, I was like, man, it's only a matter of time before they come for me, because I'm one of the newest and most expensive people here.
Right.
So at some point, they started making some hard decisions. They started letting go of some people that I was just like, that wasn't right. But I was like, if I'm still here, I was like, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna last. So I could tell the chopping block was coming around again. So I just had a phone call. I was like, hey, look, man, I know the axe is about to swing again. You're having trouble trying to figure out who it's going to be. You know what? I have a contract, so you just pay me out like 90 cents on the dollar, and I'll walk, no question. Just I'm out. And so that's what happened. Bam. So now I get big check. I'm out.
Big old check.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of like exhaling for a second, like, whew, what am I gonna do now? And it was like for the first time I had time to actually like do what I wanted to do for a stretch. And one of those things that had not been scratched yet was actually walking the artist thing out. So me and my brother, Reg Jones, we started a label, Boulevard Entertainment, and we put ourselves out. We started making records. We started getting local airplay. We started playing stages pretty quick. And before you know it, we got a reputation as a performing band. And this show was, I think, maybe when our second album had dropped. And matter of fact, it's the 20th anniversary of that second album. My brother just posted about it, ironically. So this is funny. I'm looking at this image now. And what happened was it was Stone Soul Picnic.
Radio 1.
Radio 1, RFK Stadium grounds outside. So it's like 300 people. It's like festival size.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
And shout out to Kathy Brown. She was like, yo, Kuti, your band's going to get it. You're going to go like 20 minutes. So it was us, Monica, Chuck Brown, P-Funk.
Sign me up, baby.
Yeah, P-Funk. And I guess technically Chuck closed, but the time was on the bill too.
Right.
So this happens after me, Lorenzo, Morris, and Jerome are doing the studio stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So this is after we had done that. I saw the time again because they got honored for something, and Mint Condition paid tribute to them. I was working with Mint Condition, which you saw pictures with me. Right. So I see the guys. It's not like I'm on the phone with them or anything, but we see each other. They're like, oh, it's Kuti. So the biggest secret was that I was an artist. Right? Because everybody saw me as an exec.
Right.
So we perform, and right hand to God, man, we kill.
You killed it. You killed it.
I'm talking 20 minutes. We killed. We just rocked it. And I think the crowd was even more excited because we were from the way. You know what I mean? Right. So the fact that we came out professional, rocked it, they were just like, yo, and then we had a song on the radio. So there's like, oh, those are the guys who sang that. They from here, so it all just kind of came together to the crowd. So after we go off as fans, I'm just like, I'm not leaving till I see the time play. You know what I mean? So I'm sitting on the side with my brother Reg, and we sitting on the side just watching the show. And we know the time front to back. So I know every lick, every turnaround. We're sitting there just boom, boom. Right. And they finish the show and they head off stage. Then they jump back on to do an encore, and they're gonna do the Birds in encore. So it starts warming up. Boom, what time is it? Boom, dun, 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 dun. And I'm sitting there, and I thought I heard my name, but I'm not so audacious to think that my name would be getting called from the stage. So I'm just like boom, boom. And then a Big Chris, he's a security cat that worked at Radio 1. He also worked at Bad Boy. We go back to all roads kind of come back to Bad Boy. He worked at Bad Boy with me. So he's young. He's like, yo, Kuti. He's New York cat. Kuti. I'm like, what's up? He's like, man, Jerome been calling you for like 2 minutes. I'm like, what? And Jerome's on stage mid-show looking at him. He's like, yo, Kuti, you and your man, come up here right now. I was just like, all right. So backstory, in high school, the high school dances, me and my boy Reg didn't go to the same high school, but we would go to each other's school dances. And we were kind of like the cats that could dance, you know what I mean? So we would go to the DJ. Shout out to Al BD, because he was the DJ at my high school parties. We go to Al BD and be like, yo, man, you need to put on the Bird. He'd be like, well, put on the Bird. Before the party's over, put on the Bird. And then you put on the Bird, and we do that whole routine that they did in Purple Rain. We do the whole thing. And and it would shut the parties down every time. Right. So these cats is playing the Bird. They call us up there just because they saw us rock earlier. Mm-hmm. Jerome realizes that it's me when he sees me on stage. He's like, yo, come back on stage. Because Morris is like, where them DC guys from? Da, 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 da. Jerome sees me. He's like, yo, Kuti, come up here. So we get up there. They just want us up there as props, but we know all the steps.
Oh, wow.
So when we get up there, so you see even me and Morris got our hands up at the same time. When we get up there, that part came on at the end, and we in there the whole time, just chili sauce. And the crowd is going bananas. And so and I even knew like Morris's, little pageant wave. So we doing it at the same time in that picture. And man, we waved off the crowd, and dude, man, you couldn't tell me nothing. Man. You couldn't tell me nothing. Dude, that's a highlight. That you pulled one out. I mean, you surprised me with that one.
Oh man,
that's crazy.
That was a memorable moment, dude. Memorable moment. So yeah, as an artist, we got a chance to do that stuff. We wrote and produced for other people. We did a whole album on this kid named Soul Edler, who's still out there doing background vocalists for people like Mesa and Mickey Howard. Yeah, so so that legacy still lives on as well. I just saw him perform like a couple months ago. So yeah, man. Yeah.
Good stuff, man. Well,
that's good, man. That's good, Kuti.
Kuti Mack, thank you, brother, for spending some time with us.
This was good. We didn't get through all the stories, but maybe we'll do it on a part B sometime.
Hey, bro.
No, we're gonna bring you back. We'll bring you back.
We got a list.
Yeah, shoot. I mean,
you have to we'll have him first episode season 3.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I can do that. I'm not greedy because I want to hear these other stories because I want to be able to do like Vito did and just jump in like, hey, I remember that.
Yo, that was crazy. That was crazy. I was about to tell the story and he just typed it in before I could even get to it.
Hilarious.
That's
crazy.
That's
the thing, just so people see, like, when I'm telling these stories, they sound larger than life, but these are things that we really did, man. We were a part of it.
And we always talk about it at the beginning of the show. The people that we bring on ain't just folks we just bring. We actually know these folks.
Yeah.
And it's an honor to know you guys. I say this privately, but I'm saying it publicly, man. Just the fact that we're still in association and we're still in each other's circles, man. Because some of us aren't here,
True.
Facts. So I just love y'all, man. Y'all have always been like, when I think about my first radio tour as a Bad Boy employee, I met Eric Lee. I met Aaron Maxwell, and I mean those friendships still. Like I said, Aaron just called me.
That's great.
And then Lorenzo, man, it's like before I was even in.
Yeah.
This is before I was even in. So and your travels and how we always still manage.
And we're still connecting now. We do it on IG, man, and keep doing what you're doing. Those messages that you're putting out there on IG. They seem so from the heart, sincere, and just when you don't have a whole bunch of people watching you live or you're not getting a whole lot of likes or comments, keep doing it because people are watching. Yeah. They just may not be commenting or they may just not be.
I'm trying to learn that, man. If I'm on IG at Kuti Mack, as you can see, man, that's me. Just find me. At Kuti Mack, KutiMack. That's me, man. Find me and let's rap.
Now you're a personal trainer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now I'm in fitness. Yeah. So, but like I said, it's just all of it kind of conjoins because like I said, there are a lot of us that ain't making it to 50. You know what I mean? Right. And so,
one thing, what would you recommend for most people to do if they're dealing with high cholesterol?
The first thing I tell anybody to do: get a juicer, not a blender, not a Ninja, a juicer. This separates liquid from pulp, right? And juice vegetables. Don't put fruit in there because the fruit's gonna put the sugar in your system. Eat your fruit, but juice something as simple as cucumbers, spinach, and maybe a little bit of ginger or mint. If you get that habit in and you do that first thing in the morning within 90 minutes of waking up and another time throughout the day, by 11 days in, you'll look and feel like a whole new person. You keep it in as a habit just in general. And a lot of these things that are coming at us, cholesterol, high blood pressure, even freaking COVID, man, you're going to be able to push back against natural.
What about celery juice? Or
celery juice is great. Celery juice is kind of zesty, but it's good. But it's
yeah.
Kind of zesty. I got you, man. Once again,
thank you.
No problem. But I wish that's this got me still here.
Hey,
celery juice.
Yeah, I'm on that. I'm on that celery juice. Yeah, look at me. Look at me.
Juices and berries.
Oh man, so Kuti, I want you to hang out in the green room, and Lo and I'll be back in a quick second.
There you go.
Oh, thank you for coming out, man. Hold on in the green room for a second.
Problem.
Man, that was a good show, Lo.
Yeah, man. You know whose anniversary is next week?
Yours?
The anniversary of Aaliyah's death is next week, dog.
Oh, okay. So I got to.
Yeah, I had to hit you with that.
Yeah, so we'll let's see if we can grab Juliet.
It might be good. Might be good.
We grab Juliet so we can talk about
it. August 25th. I think that fall on a Friday. I'm not sure. on off the top. Tomorrow, the 18th, it'll be Friday.
Yeah, let's dedicate next show. First of all, man, I forgot to do it. Clarence Avant. I mean, not Clarence Avant. Clarence.
You might want to bring Kuti back on here for
yeah,
for that one.
Kuti, we back. You back?
Yes,
we live. We live
again.
Could you hear what we were talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Clarence Avant, man.
The godfather of black music.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you this. I got the chance to be in his company once because I worked with Jimmy and Terry. So I got a chance to be in his company. I didn't really get a chance to pick his brain the way I wanted to. There are two people in the music business that I'll say 2.5 people that I kind of patterned just the way they moved, and I wanted to be that at some point. Clarence Avant, Quincy Jones, and Donnie Simpson, and because each of them were just themselves. Quincy is a historian, like he can put anything in historical context in popular music. And Clarence Avant was just somebody who moved in the shadows, but he made major moves. He was connected to so many people and so many things. And I'll never be as great as Clarence Avant. I'll just say that right now. But on my own little way, I try to just be the grease that lets this wheel spin here and sets, that person's career in this direction. Just be an agent of positive trajectory. That's what I got most from Clarence Avant. Is just, that dude was a guy, and he never was somebody who stepped out in front for the credit for everything he did.
Right.
Right. That's why you didn't know.
Right.
When you found out, you're like, yo,
yeah,
this dude is powerful.
Yeah.
And I mean, and especially the era that he was powerful during,
right?
Like black people just didn't have that, man. He's that the game, lost one. But what I am encouraged by is that he got bouquets.
Right.
Oh, he got his flowers.
The last few years, he got the Netflix special. He got these. He got that recognition while he could still perceive it, and that's important to me. I think that's something I really do. Sometimes in this era, in the 21st century, cats get premature credit.
Right.
But if I had to, but when it's warranted, though, I'm not necessarily mad at it. Only because, like I said, I know a bunch of promo people who died without getting any credit, promo people who are walking the face of earth right now who don't get their credit. So thank you for this platform. But Clarence Avant, straight up, oh my gosh, class act, powerful, great. When power isn't power till you can give it.
Right.
And he gave so many people power.
Yeah.
He gave so many powerful people
opportunities.
And he was in so many spaces simultaneously while we were there.
Yeah.
We would know, oh, there's this Clarence, oh, that's that guy you need to know, but you had to be in the mix. You had to be really be able to, rub shoulders and rub elbows with him,
He was the godfather.
You saw him often, but you had to be in there.
He was a godfather.
Yeah, he was. He was. We would see him at conventions quite often.
That's why I would see him at conventions.
Yeah, you would see him there.
I would get introduced when I was with the OGs. If I'm with Hank Spann or Donnie Singleton or
Singleton,
they would always, they would introduce you. I mean, I was like, they kept saying I was like, okay. I knew who he was because everybody had reverence for him.
Right. Yes. I remember a couple of times at the Urban Network when I would be hosting a luncheon by whatever record company, I would see him in the audience at that big table. Yeah. So those are kind of like my memories of him, and say, okay, that's that guy. But how am I going to get to meet him? And it just never. I probably did, and I just don't remember it.
Things
are a blur.
Think about our era, and that's what I really appreciate about us in our era. Because me and my brother talk about this all the time. It's like no slight to anybody, younger, whatever the case may be, but we're that perfect medium era where we saw, touched, been around a lot of the great greats. May not even known how great they were.
Right.
Until somebody tells you, and then that filtered through us, and we're still around here to talk about it to the people who come after us.
Right.
Because I remember conventions, same thing, Urban Network being out there in Palm Springs for the and you sit at a table and be Joe Iskro and all these cats that you read about in Hitman. And I was like, oh, And like I said, shout out to my man Tony Winger. He's another one of my OGs. Wanda Hayes, she just had a birthday not too long ago. Trying not to forget anybody.
Yeah, I think she's episode 3.
Okay. Yes. So you know what I'm saying? So I know what I'm talking about. You know,
that's mom.
I know what I'm talking about.
Yes, definitely.
Bobby Duckett was 2 and Thomas Lytell was 4.
There it is, my man Tommy Lytell, Mr. Def Jam. You know, so
DJ
Uncle Bob, you know.
Yeah. So we'll man, I'm glad Lo said bring you back, because I wanted to, pay a little homage to the gentleman that laid the foundation and groundwork for us to be here today.
Yeah. I have to go watch the Netflix special again.
Yeah, man, because that Obama piece blew my mind. I was just like, the Obama and Clinton. I'm just like, oh yeah. And even like his son-in-law, I believe, is the cat that runs Netflix.
Really?
Yeah.
That's how that happened.
It is.
Oh, okay.
He's sort of married.
Yeah. So he's everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, so yes, I'm glad to have seen him get his flowers while he's still here.
Yeah.
While I'm talking about it, a joint that y'all need to check out, a documentary. There's a Little Richard documentary called "I Am Everything."
It's coming on CNN, right?
CNN.
You've seen it already?
Yeah, I just watched it last night.
Okay.
Yo.
Blow your mind? I gotta check it out, because I was told, I haven't seen the documentary, but I was told, who was I talking to that was in the industry? He's like, Little Richard, he played gay early on because he knew that he had a whole lot of white women that were very interested. They would throw themselves at him. And because it was the 50s, he didn't want white men to get aggressive with him, because they thinking that he's going to take their white women home and do what men do. I was like, really? He says he's old Catholic. What was I talking?
Was it an OG that told you that?
OG.
Okay.
OG told me that.
That's their reality. Two things can be true at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember seeing him on the David Letterman show saying that, I'm no longer gay, or I wasn't really gay.
He was on Arsenio Hall, and Arsenio asked him, and he said something about how his door only swings one way, right? Yeah.
But he was acting kind of gay on the Arsenio Hall. He was very flamboyant, let's say that.
Flamboyant. So here's what I'm saying.
But with David Letterman, he had an afro and he wasn't as flamboyant.
That's when he was a preacher.
Exactly.
Doing gospel.
Okay.
This thing will cover
all of it. Oh yeah, I got to check it out.
Okay. All right.
And it makes sense when you see it.
Okay.
It's worth watching.
That's our homework. That's our homework assignment. I'll check back with you.
I guess that's the difference between him and Sam Cooke. Because if they threw themselves at Sam Cooke was gonna catch it.
That's why his nose was broken.
Change gonna come. Hold on, hold on. Loaded. Yeah, we can do this all night, bro.
I know.
This is beautiful time to.
And thank you for everyone that was tuning in on my Facebook feed and my. I didn't get a chance to shout out too many people on IG, but we had quite a few people on here. JD, Elise, big shout out. Lady Yell, also big shout going out to the Nixon family and many more. Mac D Town, and a big shout going out to the evening experience. So thank you so much for checking us out, and so many more on the IG page.
We got to do this again next week. We're gonna make it special. We got to catch Juliet and talk about Aaliyah.
Woo!
Talk about Aaliyah. See if we can catch Juliet, because she's superstar now, so she's high powered. We'll call her. We'll call her. How can they find you, Lo?
Peace. Oh, how can they catch me? Catch me out on Star 94.5 Monday through Friday from 3 to 7. That's Star 94.5. You can get the app. You can check me out on Hot 105, 6 to 10 on Saturday nights. And, of course, I got a new show coming called Black Carpet Weekly. Yeah, I'll keep you abreast on all that.
All right. You can catch me at all of my social media handles at Convo with the DJ. It's on the screen right now, at Convo with the DJ. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, you name it. And of course, we'll do this again next week. And special shout out to the Miami Sports Network. Thank you for allowing us to host this event, this show on a weekly basis. Lo, we out of here?
All right, we gone.